Chapter 191. Damn it, this brat is pretending to be a pig to eat the tiger. Ancient Azure Dragon. He is actually a descendant of the Azure Dragon bloodline. The other young merit warrior is actually her? No, look, this Azure Dragon isn't that brat's incarnation. The moment the ancient Azure Dragon appeared, all the senior students were shocked. Their gazes were all locked onto the four figures beside the ancient Azure Dragon. Lin Chen crossed his arms in front of his chest with a cynical smile on his face. However, his deep black eyes were like an ancient well without any ripples. From the start till the end, his expression didn't change at all. This ancient Azure Dragon actually came out from your body. Brat, who exactly are you? Xiao Kuang transformed into an Azure Dragon and roared. Lin Chen waved his hand. I'll ask you after you beat me. Bang! The dragon claw swung diagonally, and a violent surge of pure strength swept across the void, tearing out a shocking spatial crack. Poochie! The claw tore through Xiao Kuang's dragon scales, causing blood to spurt out. The ancient Azure Dragon spat out a wind blade-like dragon breath. Roar! The dragon tail twisted and slapped forward, crushing the dragon breath on the spot. Xiao Kuang furiously pounced forward, and the two mountain-sized Azure Dragons clashed together. The battle between the two dragons was like returning to the ancient era. The scene of 100,000 dragons covering the sky and 1,000,000 divine dragons swallowing the sun and moon seemed to be right in front of their eyes. It was extremely impactful and shocking. Not only the new students, but also the seniors were stunned. The two Azure Dragons didn't have much skill. They soared in the air, fighting from the sky to the ground, and from the ground to the sky. The light dimmed and collapsed, and the space distorted and collapsed. It was like doomsday. The pure strength of the two Azure Dragons had reached a terrifying 22 points of dragon force. A dragon breath was enough to move mountains and fill seas. Their strength was comparable to a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 3. When Lin Chen was crazily hunting rank 5 Overlord beasts on Whale Island, he obtained a large amount of Qi and Blood Energy Attribute Light Balls. Previously, after slaughtering 3 rank 5 Overlord beasts, his and the ancient Azure Dragon's pure strength broke through the bottleneck again and again. His ancient Azure Dragon is actually on par with Xiao Kuang. How is this possible? When a human controls a dragon's body to fight, they can complement it with battle chi. Their battle vision is also wider. In theory, Xiao Kuang should be superior. His ancient Azure Dragon battle consciousness is extremely sharp and crafty. I'm afraid this has something to do with that new student. This ancient Azure Dragon seems to have evolved from his body. No wonder he became a young merit warrior when he was still a freshman. This strength is worthy of his name. This person is arrogant and conceited, but he himself is only at the 9th level of the Earth realm. Everyone knows that everything is just an unorthodox path. Our human race's cultivation of battle chi is the orthodox path. The outcome is still uncertain. Regardless of whether or not his Azure Dragon can defeat Xiao Kuang, there is still a youth merit warrior present. This is what he emphasized. It's 1 versus 2. Regarding Lin Chen's actions and strength, everyone had different opinions, but most of them were disdainful. In the Heavenly Song Academy, everyone knew that humans could only cultivate battle chi in the orthodox path. In their opinion, Lin Chen's body was hiding an ancient Azure Dragon and was relying on the Azure Dragon's power to survive. This kind of unorthodox path would one day be left behind by others. Therefore, even though he had an ancient Azure Dragon, not many people acknowledged Lin Chen's strength. This trump card of yours is unexpected. You probably relied on this Azure Dragon to kill Luo Wanquan in the assessment, right? But I am different from him. The mysterious armored man spoke in a cold voice. He intentionally suppressed his voice to be abnormally deep. Sky Fire 13 Spears. 4 hand seals were rapidly formed as a blazing and violent fire attribute energy whirlpool appeared behind him. From the energy whirlpool, 12 energy battle spears were shot out at extreme speed. They pierced through the air and shattered the billowing air waves, burning the space within a few hundred feet in flames. This mysterious armored man's cultivation was at the second level of the Heaven Dipper realm. His entire body was just like Luo Wanchuan's, which were all precious artifacts or weapons. In terms of strength, this person was on par with Xiao Kuang, who had transformed into a dragon. Water attribute bloodline transformation. Lin Chen suddenly trembled. His single fist revolved with azure battle chi, and his arm became transparent and bright. Divine Wilderness 9 Arts Water Tipping. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Chen brandished his right fist at extreme speed. Every punch had 6 dragon force points, which caused the space to distort and collapse. The domineering fist wind carried with it a water-type battle chi that had turned into a substance. It was as if a violent storm was raging. Bang, bang, bang. Water and fire intertwined. All the fiery energy battle spears exploded into mist. The flames crackled and were immediately extinguished by the water attribute battle chi. His battle chi is so strong that it is not inferior to the first level of the Heaven Dipper realm. What is going on? Isn't he at the 9th level of the Earth realm? The armored man exclaimed. After Lin Chen's battle chi was transformed into a special bloodline energy, it was comparable to the 2nd level of the Heaven Dipper realm. With the special bloodline energy and his attack with 6 dragon force points, his strength was comparable to the 3rd level of the Heaven Dipper realm. The afterimage of thunder and fire seemed to jump through space and appeared in front of the armored man from Lin Chen's position. His entire body was surrounded by a pale green whirlwind. With the wind attribute bloodline energy and the purple phoenix wings, it was so fast that the opponent couldn't even react. The fiery dragon-like battle chi fist wind violently smashed onto the armored man's lower abdomen. The 6 dragon force points hit at close range and exploded together with the fire attribute battle chi. Bang! The armored man was sent flying by Lin Chen's fist, and was sent flying thousands of meters away. Rip! The purple phoenix wings flapped again. The strange speed that caused the space to split apart shocked the entire audience. What? It wasn't until the armored figure was sent flying that everyone reacted. The speed that Lin Chen displayed caused even the spectating young merit warriors to feel fear in their hearts. A 9th-level Earth realm martial artist actually had such nimble speed? Such a fast speed. Too scary. I have to make him stop. The armored man's lower abdomen was in pain and couldn't help but grumble. His hands were dancing while faint spirit energy threads were swimming around his fingertips. All 10 fingers suddenly shook while the spirit energy threads shot out ripple-like spirit energy blades. Tisk tisk. For some reason, when the sharp spirit energy blades got close to Lin Chen, they were actually annihilated into nothingness by a sweeping spirit energy wave. Spirit Transformation Realm's spirit energy. Who exactly are you? The armored man was shocked and lost his voice. His voice became clear and pleasant to the ears. Apologies, Brother Chen. No matter if it is in terms of looks or strength, I am impeccable. Lin Chen, who was rushing over at extreme speed, grabbed the armored man's arm and gave a mocking smile. He suddenly turned around and smashed the armored man into the ground like a beating drum with his dragon force. Bang! The earth vein collapsed and the rocks shattered, setting off a violent wind that filled the sky. Lin Chen punched the air while his body was bathed in thunder. His left fist swung down violently and ruthlessly smashed onto the armored man's chest. Chapter 192. Crack. Lin Chen's punches left a very fine crack on the 5th-tier mid-grade armor. The face of the person in the armor changed slightly. This was an armor that could withstand the attack of a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 4. How could it not withstand his attacks so quickly? On one side was the battle between 2 azure dragons, and on the other side was a showdown of various divine abilities. The entire battle space suddenly became very exciting, and it was too much for the eyes to take in. Seeing that Lin Chen was actually able to faintly gain the upper hand while fighting against two heavens chosen, those who mocked Lin Chen's battle chi cultivation immediately turned green. A peerless, ruthless person. A new student who entered the academy for a few days actually had the strength to fight against two Heaven Dipper realm seniors. Regardless of the outcome of this battle, Lin Chen's name would definitely set off a wave of excitement in the headquarters. Boom! The ancient Azure Dragon and Xiao Kuang were locked in a fierce battle. Both sides had their own victories and losses, but at this moment, the general trend had already started to emerge. Host has received 19 million points of Qi and Blood, 130 points of Azure Dragon Bloodline Energy, 190 points of Azure Dragon Bloodline Energy. The ancient Azure Dragon became more and more courageous as the battle went on, but Xiao Kuang started to become sluggish as the battle dragged on. The reason was simple. Every time the ancient Azure Dragon injured Xiao Kuang, it would scatter many attribute light balls. The ancient Azure Dragon was a part of Lin Chen's body, so it could directly come into contact with the attribute light balls and absorb them. Don't tell me Xiao Kuang, can't even defeat his Azure Dragon? This is impossible. Xiao Kuang let out a roar and his dragon claws danced. He once again forcefully clashed against the ancient Azure Dragon's back. The latter swept his head with its tail, causing him to feel dizzy. What Xiao Kuang didn't know was that the more he resisted, the higher the value of the attribute light balls would be. Triple Absolute Thunderbolt Seed. The armored figure shouted and suddenly shot out 3 thumb-sized energy stones. They hit Lin Chen right in the middle. Bang bang bang! Every energy stone exploded at close range, and its power was not inferior to a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 3 attack. The momentum was terrifying. With a shake of his palm, he flipped over and stood up. The armored figure flashed and instantly moved 1,000 meters away, leaving the center of the explosion with a few flashes. Oh no, will he be crippled by the explosion? The person in the armor exclaimed in a low voice. Before she could react, the silver robe fluttered, and the golden figure of a young man appeared behind her. Surrounded by Heavenly Dipper battle chi, Lin Chen was almost unscathed. His hands clenched into fists, and like a battle axe, he fiercely chopped down on his opponent's helmet. This blow completely stunned the master inside. His consciousness was cut off for an instant. It was also at this moment that Lin Chen grabbed his shoulders, kneed him, and punched him violently. His hands, knees, and calves had all transformed into lethal weapons. Bang bang bang! Colorful battle chi exploded, creating a constant energy storm. Each of Lin Chen's attacks was accompanied by a battle chi attack of at least one attribute. The rapid, close-range attacks unleashed a ferocious might, causing large swaths of air to explode and space to distort and break apart. Not to mention the person involved, even the senior students who were watching the battle felt a ghastly déjà vu. Lin Chen was young, but his combat experience was not inferior to some of the veteran experts. When had Luo Qinyan ever suffered such a heavy blow? Her status in the Luo family was extremely high. Her background was boundless, and her talent contained endless possibilities. Her cultivation was progressing at a rapid pace. Even when she entered the Heavenly Song Academy, she was famous in the academy for advancing to the Youth Merit Officer rank in 2 years. She was talked about enthusiastically and regarded as one of the top girls among the geniuses. But today was the first time she felt what was called fear. If there was a chance for regret in this world, she would never have agreed to the family's invitation to deal with this new student. At this moment, as long as she opened her eyes, she would be able to see the young man's domineering and fierce gaze, filled with endless killing intent and brutality. Every punch of his was filled with killing intent. It was 100 times more terrifying than the desperados Luo Qinyan had encountered in the past. Bang! Crack crack. That high-quality armor was shattered by Lin Chen on the spot. The shattered helmet revealed a beautiful face that could captivate birds and beasts, but at this moment it was filled with horror. It was not over yet. Lin Chen discovered that the opponent was a woman, but he still punched out furiously. Regardless of whether it was a man or a woman, Lin Chen's principle was to use all his strength to defeat the enemy as long as he was sure they were an enemy. Luo Qinyan let out a painful scream as the punch flew away. Ah! That scream was abrupt and bone-chilling, but there was also a kind of desperate wail in it. It was heart-wrenching and at the same time, a kind of lingering fear. The fragments of the armor scattered all over the sky like falling meteors, scattering as Luo Qinyan fell heavily to the ground. Her long hair was messy, and Luo Qinyan's delicate and beautiful face was filled with horror. She looked very much like a helpless little bunny hiding in a corner. Lin Chen did not go for the kill. His last punch was aimed at the soft armor of the opponent. For someone like Luo Qinyan, both inside and outside were tightly protected. Other than that armor, she also had another soft armor. Although she would not be fatally injured, she would definitely feel intense pain. Don't hit me, I admit defeat." Luo Qingyan's delicate body trembled slightly, and her beautiful eyes were filled with unprecedented fear. She did not even dare to look directly at Lin Chen's eyes. Just now, he was full of killing intent. His attacks that were like raging waves were still vivid in his mind. It was too terrifying. Why did she provoke such a person? But what Luo Qinyan did not know was that when she recalled Lin Chen's domineering and fierce gaze, there was also a trace of indescribable panic and pleasure in addition to lingering fear and horror. "Hee, senior sister, don't be afraid. If I knew you were so beautiful, I would have revealed your true appearance sooner. Maybe I would have gone easy on you." Lin Chen's murderous intent disappeared, and he said with a smile. The spectating senior students' mouths twitched slightly. "Go easy on you? You didn't go easy on your last punch. It was more than enough to crush mountains and rivers. Since senior sister has admitted defeat, then the 100,000 points are mine. As for Luo Wanchuan's treasures, I will not hand them over. If senior sister wants to find trouble with me again, I welcome you at any time. Senior sister's chest seems to be injured. Let me help senior sister massage it to reduce the swelling." Seeing Lin Chen smiling innocently and flirting with Luo Qinyan, the senior students all felt their scalps go numb. Many of the seniors felt their scalps go numb as they watched. It was as if he wasn't the one who had hit him. No, I won't find trouble with you again." Luo Qinyan stood up, her delicate body trembling, and her beautiful eyes were faintly filled with tears. She looked at Lin Chen one last time, and it was unknown whether it was blame, resentment, or other feelings, but she immediately flew away. The attribute light balls that this beautiful senior sister dropped are not bad. Lin Chen casually picked up a few attribute light balls on the ground, and his battle chi essence increased by 1 point. Then, when he turned to look at Xiao Kuang, he revealed his white teeth and smiled brilliantly. "Look, this demon is actually smiling. He's smiling like a child." Some of the spectating senior students exclaimed. Seeing Lin Chen's smile, Yu Linlin, Bai Juanhao, and the others who were watching the battle crazily held back their laughter. Chapter 193. His Azure Dragon bloodline points had increased by more than 5,000 points in the first week of entering the Heavenly Song Academy. How could Lin Chen not laugh at such a great thing? Lin Chen was so excited that he wanted to offer Xiao Kuang a few incense sticks to show his respect. On the other side, Xiao Kuang and many other young master-level geniuses had finally discovered some clues. Lin Chen's ancient Azure Dragon had always been in a state where the more it fought, the stronger it became. It seemed that it had used some unknown method to take away Xiao Kuang's energy, allowing it to maintain its peak state during the battle. It's too strange. How did his ancient Azure Dragon do it? We can't see any traces at all. We can only see that its azure dragon would approach the location where Xiao Kuang's dragon blood was flowing out during the battle. This freshman Lin Chen's background is not small. Just as the seniors were secretly analyzing, Lin Chen faced Xiao Kuang, put his palms together, and complained in front of everyone's eyes. Senior Xiao Kuang, you've given me another 100,000 academic credits and Azure Dragon bloodline points. You're burning yourself to illuminate me. Senior, you are really a great person. Please accept my bow. Lin Chen bowed seriously, almost angering Xiao Kuang to death on the spot. Lin Chen, King, roar! Xiao Kuang didn't even have the chance to curse as he was pressed to the ground by the ancient Azure Dragon. The dragon's claws suddenly tore open his dragon scales, causing blood to splatter everywhere. Another bunch of attribute light balls fell out. Host received 230 Azure Dragon bloodline points, 180 Azure Dragon bloodline points. After bowing, Lin Chen chuckled. With a flash of his purple phoenix wings, his fists were domineering and fierce. His fists were like dragons as they violently landed on Xiao Kuang's dragon body. Bang bang bang! Lin Chen and the ancient Azure Dragon's mixed attacks caused Xiao Kuang to faint on the spot. He didn't even have the chance to admit defeat. Lin Chen dispelled Xiao Kuang's Azure Dragon possession, causing him to fall to the ground with injuries all over his body. Stop. Participant Xiao Kuang has lost his battle consciousness. The battle is over. Winner, young master-level Lin Chen. The elder's thunderous voice reverberated within the battle space. Lin Chen's Azure Dragon bloodline points had reached 21,700 points after defeating Xiao Kuang. The Qi and Blood attribute light ball he obtained from Xiao Kuang increased the ancient Azure Dragon's dragon power to 24. He had benefited a lot. This is the strength of 9 types of battle Qis that can be transformed into special energy bloodlines. It's too strong. Even I feel like I'm in a dream. Plus, I haven't even used my 2 trump cards, light and dark. Lin Chen exhaled and excitedly clenched his fists. At this moment, he had a new understanding of the power of his 9 tribulations of creation. Without relying on any characteristic runes, the current him could single-handedly defeat a Heaven Star Border Stage, 3 Heavenly Star Border Stage, 3 Heavenly Star Border Stage, 3 Heavenly Star Border Stage, 3 Prodigies. With a flash, Lin Chen and Xiao Kuang's figures disappeared from the battle space. Everything that was destroyed within the battle space was reformed by a mysterious energy, returning to its original state. Within the battle arena's resting room, Lin Chen discovered that everyone from Class 66 was already waiting for him the moment he was teleported out. Big brother, are you alright? Class Monitor Lin Chen, isn't your speed of improvement too fast? Yu Lin, Bai Juanhao and the rest immediately surrounded him. Before Lin Chen could say anything, an elder stepped into the resting room. Student Lin Chen, there's a female who seems to be urgently looking for you. This old man suggests that you go and meet her immediately. The elder's words shocked a certain Lin Sun. Could it be that my handsomeness was exposed to the public because of this battle? A beautiful senior sister came looking for me so quickly? So annoying. I just want to be alone for a while. And where's that female? Outside the battle arena, as soon as Lin Chen walked out, a beautiful woman whom he had met by chance came into view. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, Lin Chen revealed a nostalgic expression. You're that girl from the evil king's secret realm. If I remember correctly, your name is Ling something? Ling Ziki. Prince Lin Chen, great, you're really here. The woman was excited and anxious. She was Ling Ziki, one of the female geniuses from the spiritual state's Sacred Sun Temple, whom Lin Chen had met once in the evil king's secret realm. You're looking for me? No way. Don't tell me all the girls in the spiritual state know that the most handsome man has arrived at Tiange's headquarters? Lin Chen was shocked. His shamelessness caused many students around him to stop and snicker. Even the students from Class 66 felt ashamed. Their class monitor was good at everything, but his shamelessness was both a weakness and a strength. Prince Lin Chen, listen to me. The situation is very urgent. My senior sister is in trouble. Ling Ziki was so anxious that she clenched her small fist. She had spent a lot of effort to find out about Lin Chen's identity and background before finding this place. Your senior sister is Yun Manqing? Lin Chen faintly recalled. That gentle and graceful countenance of a beautiful woman that could topple cities appeared in his mind. Yes, our Sacred Sun Temple is holding the Sacred Flame Conference recently. Only a man and a woman can participate. Also, the rewards for the conference are very limited. You can enter the Sacred Flame Altar to refine your battle force. It's very beneficial for those who are trying to break through to the Heaven Star Border Realm, and those who have just entered the Heaven Star Border Realm. It has a life-changing effect. Senior sister is now at the half-step Heavenly Dipper Realm. The rewards of the Sacred Flame Conference will affect her for the rest of her life. However, senior sister would rather give it up than find a partner to participate in this conference. So I beg you, please help senior sister. As Ling Ziki spoke, her green eyes flickered with tears. It seemed like it wasn't as simple as what she said. So it's the Sacred Sun Temple. Cadet Lin Chen, I didn't expect you to have such connections. The accompanying elder looked at Lin Chen with interest. The Sacred Sun Temple was a first-rate faction that was second only to the Heaven Song main courtyard. It was an illustrious existence in the spirit state. The elder looked at Lin Chen from head to toe and said with a smile, Cadet Lin Chen, you should be at the 9th level of the Earth Realm, right? This old one suggests for you to participate in this Sacred Flame Conference. We have heard of the Sacred Flame Baptism. It is said that it is an opportunity that only the Sacred Sun Temple's disciples with the highest standards can enjoy. It has a life-lasting effect on a martial artist. You might even find an opportunity to step into the Heaven Star Border Realm. Hearing the elder's words, Lin Chen's heart suddenly moved. Sacred Flame Baptism? Could it be the eternal Sacred Flame Baptism that Ning Qingshuan's clan had? When he thought of this, Lin Chen was moved. When he fought with Ning Qingshuan's clansmen, Lin Chen had a deep understanding of the growth brought by the Sacred Flame Baptism. It was so abnormal that it was beyond the standards of a mortal body. Since it has come to this, and since the world needs my handsomeness, I, Lin Chen, will not shirk my responsibility. If the heavens didn't give birth to me, Lin Chen, my handsomeness would last forever. Chapter 194. There were all kinds of people in the spiritual state, and there were all kinds of people. Many ancient sects were based here, and the Sun Saint Palace was one of them. It was located in the Sun Palace at the edge of the northwest. The Sun Palace was located in the sacred Fire Mountain that ran through the northwest. This mountain range was connected from end to end, and it was full of volcanoes that were tens of thousands of years old. Sun Palace, Holy Palace. Today, the Holy Palace was very lively. Many masters and aristocratic families from the first-rate forces of the spiritual state were present. It was the Sacred Fire Conference that was held once every 100 years. The conference was divided into 3 segments. 12 pairs of partners could compete. According to their results, 3 pairs of partners would be chosen to be baptized by the sacred fire. Behind the Holy Palace, in a majestic pavilion that was thousands of feet tall, many VIPs were discussing on the top floor of the pavilion. There was a banquet set up here, and all the heroes were gathered. There were elders from first-rate forces, managers from major chambers of commerce, and geniuses from famous aristocratic families. Manqing, have you really thought it through? This is not a game. This is the baptism of the sacred fire. If you miss it, you will never have another chance. The gray-robed old woman who had met Lin Chen a few times before tried her best to persuade the gentle beauty sitting quietly and elegantly in the corner. The beauty was wearing a blue and white dress. Her eyebrows were picturesque, and her lips were red. Her slender waist made her look as delicate and beautiful as a flower. Her hair was only tied up with a snow-white band, and her hair was embellished with frost. She didn't have many decorations, but she had a refreshing temperament that shocked the world. One look could topple a city, and another could topple a country. 3,000 stars couldn't compare to the beauty's smile. Master, Manqing has made up her mind. Manqing won't settle for a partner. I will only wait for Mr. Lin in this life. If we are not fated to be together in this life, it might not be a bad thing to die alone. Yun Manqing smiled faintly, and her green eyes revealed a trace of longing and attachment. At this moment, a few beautiful women approached Yun Manqing. What? The hope of our holy palace doesn't have a partner? The leader of the group of women, a charming woman with a seductive figure, chuckled, and her mouth was full of cold and disdain. Aya's senior sister Manqing is so talented that she doesn't care about the sacred fire. She is waiting for her true love. Outsiders will always be outsiders. They will never be orthodox. The other women covered their mouths and sneered, their eyes filled with jealousy and the pleasure of revenge. Hongying, you guys might not even be able to get a spot for the holy flame baptism. How dare you bully me and Manqing so quickly? The gray-robed old woman said darkly with a hint of killing intent in her eyes. The expressions of the ladies changed. The charming lady in red sneered, Granny Qian, how would we dare to disrespect you? I'm just afraid that there are some outsiders who want to disintegrate us from our sacred palace. Senior Sister Hongying, why do you have to do this? I have no intention of seizing the holy temple or separating everyone. A hint of helplessness flashed across Yun Manqing's face. She was not a direct disciple of the Temple of Sunday. She was recruited by Granny Qian from the outside world. However, she was favored by the temple master and other grand elders. Hearing this, Hongying sneered. Do you think I don't have it just because you say so? Just wait and see. I'm determined to get a spot for the holy flame baptism. Regardless of whether you have a partner or not, my partner will only be more outstanding than yours. After experiencing the holy flame baptism, my aptitude will only be stronger than yours. As soon as she finished speaking, a group of young prodigies appeared in the hall, attracting everyone's attention. Some of them were cold and domineering, and their talents were monstrous. Some of them were handsome and elegant. Some were even from prestigious families. Their foundations were so strong that even some of the experts from the old sects had to look at them. The beauties who had been mocking Yun Manqing earlier immediately went forward with smiles on their faces. They stood together with their partners. They stood beside their partners and enjoyed the flattery and praise around them. Their vanity was greatly satisfied. Some of them even lifted their chin at Yun Manqing from time to time. A bunch of little eagles who want to fly before their wings are fully grown. Granny Qian curled her lips in disdain. Suddenly, a gust of wind swept up in the sky, causing the guests on the top floor to look up. A five-colored ray of light pierced through the clouds. A huge object appeared in everyone's eyes. Moo! Its entire body was multicolored and was suffused with specks of multicolored light. A gigantic flying bull appeared out of nowhere and attracted everyone's attention. Many guests exclaimed, "Is this the five-colored sky bull? That's a rank 5 ancient mutant beast we're talking about. Which power is so generous to be able to get their hands on a rank 5 five-colored heavenly beetle? TSK, TSK, TSK. This five-colored sky bull alone is comparable to a Heaven Star Border Stage 2 beast. Interesting. Level 5 ferocious beasts were not rare in the spiritual state. However, it was extremely difficult to tame a level 5 ferocious beast. Extremely difficult. Most level 5 ferocious beasts had their own intelligence and pride. No matter how much they were tamed, it would be difficult for them to become obedient mounts. Therefore, it was extremely generous to bring out this five-colored sky bull. Inger, I'm here. The young man was slender and had a dignified appearance. He was already a Heaven Star Border Stage 2 prodigy at such a young age. His temperament, appearance, and potential were all top-notch. He stepped on a 5-colored cloud and slowly descended to the top of the pavilion. He looked at Hong Ying with a graceful smile on his face, looking like the dream lover of countless young girls. Enjoying the envious and amazed gazes of the crowd, Hong Ying smiled with great satisfaction. "Junxing, you're here." After saying that, Hong Ying looked at Yun Manqing mockingly. "So it's you, Junxing, from the Eternal Rain Palace. No wonder he's so generous. A talented man and a beautiful woman. The beauty is perfect," the guests around whispered. Yu Junxing landed beside Hong Ying and glanced at Yun Manqing from the corner of his eyes. A trace of greed and fanaticism flashed across the depths of his eyes. "All right, the partners are all here. I'll confirm one last time. Yun Manqing, are you sure you want to give up your spot in this Sacred Flame Conference?" At this moment, an old woman asked in a hoarse voice from the void. All the guests looked at Yun Manqing. They were stunned by her temperament and appearance. They couldn't help but feel pity in their hearts. Facing everyone's gazes, Yun Manqing stood up and bowed slightly to a certain spot in the void. "Manqing, are you sure you want to give up?" Boom! Before Yun Manqing could finish speaking, an earth-shattering boom exploded from the clouds. An ancient azure dragon that looked like a divine miracle soared through the clouds and tore through the clouds. The dragon's aura spread in all directions. The ancient azure dragon with a long beard occupied the sky. The dragon's roar shook the heavens, scaring the 5-colored heavenly bull so much that it peed its pants and hid behind a mountain peak. On the dragon's head stood the figure of a silver-robed young man. The young man's cynical laughter reverberated throughout the entire Sun Palace. God said, "Let there be light. From now on, the world has light." God said, "Let the world see the most handsome person." So, I'm here. My precious Qing-er, I'm not late, am I? Bang bang bang. Just as the young man finished speaking, beautiful fireworks exploded in the sky. The colors of the fireworks slowly formed the word handsome floating in the sky. Chapter 195. Yun Manqing stared blankly at the fireworks in the sky. The young man standing on the dragon's head was wearing a white jade mask, hiding his face. Could it be him? Is he really here? Yun Manqing covered her face with her hands. She couldn't believe it. Could it be that Lin Chun? My goodness, other than him, no one else would do such a thing. The 14,000 grannies were glowing as they looked at the ancient azure dragon in the sky excitedly. "Who are you? Why are you trespassing in my sacred sun hall?" At this moment, an obscure and hoarse voice came from the void. "Senior, I am Yun Manqing's partner. I am here to participate in the conference." Lin Chun took out the sacred sun badge that Granny Qian gave him. Some voices of doubt immediately rose and fell. Didn't they say Yun Manqing didn't have a partner? What's going on? That's Granny Qian's sacred sun badge. It can't be wrong. It's genuine. Heavens, which family's young master is he? He actually has an ancient azure dragon as his mount. Some of the young girls with outstanding talents began to chatter. Their beautiful eyes flashed with curiosity and anticipation. Even some of the old first-rate forces were no exception. Dragons were the most arrogant beast. It was also the most difficult to tame them as mounts. This ancient azure dragon had a pure bloodline. Its aura was like the sun and moon in the sky. It was extraordinarily handsome and had a strong dragon's aura. It was an orthodox azure dragon. Moreover, its bloodline grade was definitely not low. To be able to own such an ancient azure dragon, the power behind it was unimaginable. Interesting. You old fellows, look at the badge on that little guy's chest. It's the badge of Heavenly Song Academy. It's green. Young merit rank? This young man's life force fluctuation is less than 20 years old. He's actually a young merit-rank genius of Heavenly Song Academy? Interesting. It seems that Yun Manqing's partner is not simple. Some of the older generation experts and sect elders discussed with great interest. How is that possible? Didn't this bitch have no partner? Where did she find such an outstanding man to have an azure dragon as his mount? Hong Ying's face paled when she saw the expert's high evaluation of Lin Chen. She gritted her teeth and stared at Yun Manqing with jealousy and unwillingness. The women from the sacred hall who had mocked Yun Manqing earlier now turned pale, not daring to say another word. Only a few forces in the spiritual state could use an ancient azure dragon as their mounts. All right, since you're Manqing's partner and you have Qian Yan's holy badge, then return to your position. The voice in the void seemed to be somewhat satisfied as it spoke. It was as though it knew some details about Lin Chen. Boom! The ancient azure dragon rode the clouds and lay on a mountain peak. Its dragon might suppress the surroundings, causing the five-colored heavenly bull to roar slightly. Lin Chen jumped down from the sky and spread his purple phoenix wings, causing the eyes of many experts of the older generation to light up. Lin Chen landed steadily on the top floor and stood in front of Yun Manqing. "You're really here?" Yun Manqing looked at Lin Chen with tears in her eyes. She felt as if she was in a dream. Her beautiful red eyes made her look even more lovely. "After all, I promised you that I would come to the sacred hall of Sunday. If you're in trouble, I won't just stand by and watch." Lin Chen wiped the tears from the corners of Yun Manqing's eyes. His movements were very gentle, as if it was a normal action between lovers. Yun Manqing's face was red. She was both embarrassed and happy, and she was a little flustered. "Hello, brother. I'm Yu Junxing from the Eternal Rain Palace." Yu Junxing slowly walked over and tentatively reached out his hand with a smile. Yu Junxing couldn't see Lin Chen's expression because of the mask. He only saw the latter turn around and glance at him before shrugging. "It's none of my business who you are. Also, I don't shake hands with people who aren't as handsome as me." Lin Chen's words made people click their tongues. They didn't follow the conventional logic at all. "Brother, you're a little arrogant. Do you dare to tell me your name?" Yu Junxing narrowed his eyes, and the veins on his forehead popped out. However, he still maintained his elegant smile. Lin Chen held Yun Manqing's hand and turned around to face the heroes and geniuses from various forces. He was calm and composed, and he didn't panic at all. Yun Manqing's face was flushed red. She leaned slightly on Lin Chen's shoulder. This feeling of being able to rely on him was really good. Lin Chen chuckled teasingly. "My surname is Zhang, and my name is Deshuai. I'm the ace of the Black Horse Club. People call me Shirliji. People call me the handsome little black dragon. I'm extremely handsome. Why? Do you have a problem? Surname Zhang? Famous Deshuai? Zhang Deshuai?" Pfft! In the crowd, a few beauties couldn't help but burst into laughter. Then, more and more young beauties couldn't help but cover their mouths and laugh secretly. Those mature and beautiful women couldn't help but look at Lin Fan from head to toe. They unconsciously swallowed their saliva and sighed inwardly. "What a handsome Zhang Deshuai. Brother Zhang, you're really humorous. Usually, I have to beat up 10 people like you on the street every day." Yu Junxing put on a fake smile. His expression was a little gloomy, and a hidden murderous intent was constantly brewing. "I didn't expect you to be such a righteous person. You actually came to my sacred sun temple, and at this time too." Granny Qian had a kind expression. She patted Lin Chen's shoulder and said to him with a smile, "Granny, you're too polite." As the saying goes, one doesn't visit a temple without a reason. "I'm here for Manqing, and also for your sacred flame baptism quota." Lin Chen chuckled and secretly sent a telepathic message to Granny Qian. Granny Qian shook her head and couldn't help but laugh. This kid was an honest person. Although he was a little frivolous, at least he wasn't a hypocrite. He even dared to say that he was here for the sacred flame baptism quota. So it was Ling Ziki, that little girl, who asked him to come. But this kid seems to be muddle-headed. He doesn't seem to know what the sacred flame baptism means to a couple. Granny Qian was secretly laughing. Now that all 12 couples have arrived, the sacred flame meet officially begins. The place was illuminated by the dazzling light of the sun. The old woman's obscure and hoarse voice came from the void. Whoosh! A beautiful woman in red flew out and stepped on the air. She still had her charm and charm. She smiled slightly and said in a charming and clear voice. The first segment of the sacred flame meet, couples chasing spirit. All couples will participate in order. Within 45 minutes, you have to capture 3 spirits of the sacred flame altar. If you can't capture them within the time limit, you will fail the first segment. The first pair of couples, Su Qiao Qiao and Ling Yuni. Among the crowd of young men and women, a handsome man and a beautiful woman walked out with a little apprehension. All the VIPs were looking forward to it. Their gazes were fixed on an altar that was lit by a flame 10,000 meters away from the pavilion. The altar was simple and unadorned. Radiant young fire rose from the 4 sides of the altar. 3 flame openings were arranged in the shape of the word. When he saw that ancient altar, Lin Chen's eyes suddenly focused. Right above the altar, there were actually 3 fist-sized attribute light balls floating. Chapter 196. These 3 elemental light balls are rune energy. With such abundant light, each of them must be worth hundreds of thousands of points. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. He was in need of rune energy right now. Suddenly, Lin Chen seemed to have sensed something. He secretly activated his purple-gold eyes, creating something out of nothing realm, and wisps of mysterious fiery light gathered at the mouth of the altar. These wisps of fiery light weren't the natural providence that Lin Chen had seen from somewhere. Instead, they were the condensation of energy that was similar to spirituality. Without the existence of any living creature, it's condensed into a life form with spirituality just from energy? Is this possible? Even Lin Chen was very curious. Each of the first-rate sects in the spiritual state was blessed by the heavens and contained the mysteries of all things in the world. Su Qiao Qiao, Ling Yuni. Are you all ready? The beautiful woman in red smiled warmly. The partners of the first group looked at each other encouragingly and nodded. Elder, no problem. Let's begin. Boom! The altar began to shake. 3 wisps of fiery light intertwined and condensed into 3 small and exquisite fire spirits. These fire spirits had chubby and cute faces. Their eyes were as bright as jade, and they had a pair of small wings. They looked like delicate porcelain dolls. Wow! What cute little things! I want to take one home. How can there be such cute little things? Some young girls were tempted and exclaimed in joy. Suddenly, someone from Lin Chuan said, "Such cute little things. They should cry for a long time after being punched, right? F***CK. Are you a F***King Devil? Start." Su Qiao Qiao and Ling Yuni moved extremely fast. In a few flashes, they were close to the 3 fire spirits. Boom! Suddenly, a vast amount of energy rose from the altar, and a scorching and violent heat wave swept over. The temperature was extremely high. The entire pavilion automatically activated an energy coating to isolate the violent heat wave so that the guests wouldn't be affected. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. This heat didn't target the human body but the battle aura. Chi. 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 Su Qiao Qiao and Ling Yuni's speed slowed down by more than 10 times. The 3 little elves became extremely agile and easily evaded them. The little fairy streaked across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Wherever she passed, she left behind a dazzling fiery red light in the void. It was like a rainbow or a shooting star. It was extremely beautiful. Su Qiao Qiao and Ling Yuni struggled to fly, chasing after the 3 flame fairies in the air. They were even willing to consume medicinal pills to increase their speed. However, the high temperature emitted by the sacred flame altar had already caused the two of them to sweat profusely. The three little fairies were happily dancing in the sky, leaving behind beautiful fiery red light arcs. At this moment, Yu Junxing held the white feather fan in his hand and spoke with a graceful smile. Hong Ying, who was standing beside him, looked at him with admiration. Looks like this pair of partners is going to lose. Being distracted and persevering in such a high temperature that target's battle aura will greatly affect the speed of battle aura circulation. On the other hand, the three little fairies are as agile as fish in water. They won't be at a disadvantage at all. He had a card up his sleeve, and he was calm and composed. Every single one of his movements carried the confidence of being able to command the entire world. With such an attitude of a king talking about hegemony, even some of the male partners present agreed with him, let alone the young ladies. "Sir, you don't look handsome but you talk big. Those who don't know might think that you've seen the future." At this moment, Lin Chen pursed his lips in disdain. "Oh? Based on Brother Zhang's tone. What Brother Zhang? Call him handsome? Impudent. Is Brother Zhang someone you can call?" Lin Chen lectured Yu Junxing like an old man. Hong Ying couldn't stand it anymore and sneered. "What? Are you jealous of my Junxing's experience and handsomeness? You only know how to talk. Why don't I see you showing your true abilities? You don't even dare to show your face. Where did this wild brat come from?" Yun Manqing, who had been standing quietly behind Lin Chen, had a cold expression for the first time. "Baby, don't be in such a hurry to show such an expression. Are you afraid that I can't deal with this kind of trash?" Lin Chen scratched the beauty's nose, and the latter immediately stood behind him obediently. "Since you're so ignorant, I'll bet on which pair of partners can pass this test. If I lose, I'll automatically withdraw. If you lose, let this woman apologize to my baby Manqing. Moreover, her attitude has to be sincere. How about it?" Lin Chen smiled casually. With the white jade mask on, no one could see his expression or what he was thinking. "Let's make a bet. Who's afraid of who?" Before Yu Junxing could react, Hong Ying sneered again and agreed. "I hope you don't go back on your word." Lin Chen shrugged and signaled Yun Manqing, who was beside him, not to worry. "This brat is really at ease." Granny Qian, who had seen Lin Chen's various methods, praised him in her heart. Time passed slowly, and half an hour passed in the blink of an eye. Just as they were about to reach the end of the test, Su Qiaoqiao and Ling Yuni had only caught one flame spirit. The possibility of passing the test was almost zero. Just as everyone was waiting to see Lin Chen make a fool of himself, the situation at the holy fire altar suddenly changed. The two of them, who had been moving together all this time, suddenly split into two groups. Moreover, their speed was extremely fast. The trajectory of their flight was like a spiral, and after a few turns, they were close to the remaining two flame spirits. "What?" Everyone was shocked. How could they be so fast all of a sudden? Swoosh! Almost at the same time, the two of them caught the other two flame spirits in the void. The time limit had just ended. The time limit has ended. Su Qiaoqiao and Ling Yuni have passed the first round. The beautiful woman in red looked at the two of them with admiration. They slowly flew up and returned to the top of the pavilion. Many people around them applauded and cheered. The VIPs around all turned to look at Lin Chen in surprise. How did he predict this result? When the drastic change happened just now, it was decided in less than 5 breaths. Could it be that he had also predicted this? This was too monstrous. They actually passed. How is this possible? Hong Ying couldn't believe it. She took a few steps back, her pretty face pale. Even Yu Junxing's face turned gloomy in an instant. He no longer cared about his poise. The corner of his eyes revealed a ruthless and murderous gaze as he locked onto Lin Chen. "All right, apologize. Remember, you must be sincere. Otherwise, I won't let my precious Manqing forgive you so easily." Lin Chen shrugged, not caring about the gazes of the people around him. Beside him, Yun Manqing's gaze on him became increasingly gentle and joyful. In the void, an obscure and hoarse voice muttered to itself. Sister Qianyan has sharp eyes. This brat is not simple. Chapter 197. Seeing that Yu Junxing was about to explode in anger, a Heaven Dipper Realm Level 4 veteran came out with a smile to mediate the situation. This, little friend Zhang Dishui, why don't you give this old man some face and take a step back? After all, today is… Who are you? Why should I give you face? I won the bet and made them apologize, so you have to make me take a step back. Why don't you go eat sh*t? My Manqing can be wronged, but she can't? Do you think an apology will make her lose a layer of skin? Lin Chen scolded him fiercely, and the nearby VIPs were all stunned. This was an elder of Eight-Wind Palace, a person of virtue and prestige. He was also a top figure in the spiritual state, and he was in charge of a region. This brat was simply too arrogant. He actually scolded him directly. If you don't apologize today, I will personally beat you until you do. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes and revealed a murderous aura. He didn't give the elder any face at all. What was he afraid of? He was going to be arrogant today. And he was going to be arrogant to the heavens. Before he left, Elder Yuan had told him that the students of the Heavenly Song Academy would be respected wherever they went. Not to mention Lin Chen, who was at the Youth Meritorious Medal level. Even if the sky fell, the Heavenly Song Academy would hold it up. The Eight-Wind Palace elder was so angry that his beard was blowing, but when he saw Lin Chen's cyan medal, he forcefully suppressed his anger. Lin Chen didn't believe that the Eight-Wind Palace would threaten him for offending this elder. It was just a matter of this elder's attitude. Seeing that Lin Chen was actually protecting her like this, the love in Yun Manqing's heart surged like a tide. Her heart was filled with dense sweetness, and she couldn't extricate herself. What are you glaring at? If you're not convinced, then fight for your woman. Seeing that Yu Junxing was glaring at him, Lin Chen sneered. Don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you're from the Heavenly Song Academy. Brat, people without strength are just looking for death when they act arrogantly. Yu Junxing squeezed the words out from between his teeth. Lin Sun waved his hand dismissively. Whether or not I have the strength, you can try. I'll count to 3. If you don't apologize, I'll make the two of you kneel down and apologize. Lin Chen's tyrannical and overbearing attitude once again caused many people to suck in a breath of cold air. This was too arrogant. Making others kneel just because of a disagreement? Right now, he was in the right. Lin Chen had heard from Ling Ziki that Yun Manqing had suffered a lot from these people in the Holy Sun Temple over the past decade. It was simply unimaginable. If he didn't make an example out of Yun Manqing today, the disciples of the Sun Temple would think that Yun Manqing was easy to bully. I apologize. Sorry, junior sister Yun Manqing. Hong Ying was intimidated by Lin Chen's imposing manner and domineering aura. She forcefully squeezed out a few words from between her teeth, and deep resentment and viciousness could be seen in the depths of her eyes. Motherf *Ker, you call this an apology? Start over. Say it loudly, I'm sorry, Sister Manqing. If I can't hear you, then continue. If I can't hear you, then continue. Continue until I can hear you. Lin Chen let out a thunderous roar, and a majestic wave of spiritual force was released along with his spiritual force, surging violently into Hong Ying's mind. Spiritual force at the spirit transformation realm? Good brat, this child's spiritual force is actually so high. He's not far from the middle stage of the spirit transformation realm. All the VIPs were secretly shocked, and their evaluation and impression of Lin Chen increased by a few points. Hong Ying's mind was shaken, and she almost foamed at the mouth. Even Yu Junxing, who was beside her, felt dizzy. I'm sorry. Sister Manching. I can't hear you, continue. Another spiritual attack. Hong Ying's delicate body went limp and fell to the ground. She supported herself with both hands and began to twitch all over. Yu Junxing had just recovered his senses when he was shaken to the point of dizziness. Fear and dread finally appeared in her eyes as she hurriedly yelled, "I'm sorry, Sister Manching." Yun Manching couldn't bear it and pulled on Lin Chen's sleeve with her delicate little hand. Lin Chen understood and waved his hand. "I barely passed. How is it? Are you satisfied? I'll help you deal with them this time, so you won't be bullied here in the future. You're still too kind." Lin Chen secretly transmitted his voice to Yun Manching and chuckled. Lin Chen, Yun Manching's heart was moved, and this scene made Granny Qian feel very gratified. What a pity! This brat is quite a good person, but he's a famous person with many beauties around him. I wonder if Manching can keep him. Granny Qian sighed in her heart. "Hong Ying, are you all right?" Yu Junxing recovered from Lin Chen's spiritual attack and immediately helped Hong Ying up, giving her a pill to recover. Hong Ying's face was pale. This time, when she looked at Yun Manching and Lin Chen, there was a bit of fear and dread in her eyes. Yu Junxing's murderous gaze swept toward Lin Chen, completely treating him as heir and ignoring him. What a young merit student from Heavenly Song Academy. I'll remember this. I hope I won't run into you in the third segment of the competition. Yu Junxing sneered and helped Hong Ying to the side. This time, everyone had a new understanding of Zhang Dishuai's methods and impressions. This was a tough character. This small interlude didn't affect the competition. Immediately after, the second and third pairs of partners appeared. The partners who appeared later didn't have as sudden a turn of events as before. They all failed to capture the flame spirit. Seeing the fifth pair of partners, Yun Manching suddenly asked curiously, "By the way, Lin, how did you know that the first pair of Junior Sister Ji would pass?" "It's actually because of their tacit understanding. In my opinion, the two of them are the pair with the most telepathic connection among all the partners present. From the moment they entered the altar, they didn't use their battle chi to resist the residual heat of the sacred flame altar. Instead, they let their battle chi be constantly roasted," Lin Chen casually said with a smile. Hearing this question, many of the guests pricked up their ears, wanting to hear Lin Chen's opinion. Judging from the partners who participated later, it was much more difficult to capture the flame spirit than they had imagined. So far, such a stunning feat like the first pair of partners turning the tide had never happened again. Then, Lin Chen continued. Although using battle chi to resist the high temperature of the sacred flame altar will consume a lot of battle chi, it's also the fastest way to familiarize their bodies and battle chi with the sacred flame altar. Also, they've always kept a part of their battle chi and observed the movement patterns and habits of the flame spirit. Finally, after their bodies have gotten used to the temperature of the sacred flame altar, they'll release all of their battle chi in one go. Although the sacred flame spirits have intelligence, they're still far inferior to humans. Because they're still in their embryonic form, they don't have as many thoughts as humans. Therefore, as long as they can see through their movement patterns and have enough battle chi to support their high-speed flight, it won't be too difficult to capture them. After hearing this, many of the guests were suddenly enlightened. Some of the old monsters cast admiring glances at Lin Chen. Not only was his background solid, but his aura was also domineering. Even his experience was at least on the same level as them. Chapter 198. This child has extraordinary experience and powerful mental energy. His body refinement flesh shell is as strong as a savage giant beast. Even this old man can't see through his background. This kid has sealed his flesh shell's aura presence tightly. Hee, old devil Xiang, this kid seems to have a unique secret art. If you keep looking at him like this, he would have already noticed it. This old man has been paying attention to the Heaven Gu General Institute for the past 100 years, but I don't think I have seen such a youth merit disciple. He is actually only at the 9th level of the Earth realm. Hey, old devil Ning, look at your 8 Wind Hall's elders being scolded. Why aren't you going to say anything? Ha ha ha, so be it. These elders have been throwing their weight around in the hall recently. It is good to let them suffer outside so that they won't create any strong enemies for the 8 Wind Hall in the future. A few elders sitting in a corner were chatting and drinking. They would occasionally cast curious glances at Lin Chen's direction. No one dared to sit beside the elders who were sitting over a dozen meters away. They were all elite experts from various first-rate sects. 8 Wind Hall's Supreme Elder, 3 Purities Palace's Vice Palace Master, Heaven Extinction Sword Sect's Supreme Swordsman, Heaven Soul Sect's Black and White Protector. They were all first-rate figures in the spiritual state. Even they had an extremely high evaluation of Lin Chen. They were even unable to completely see through his identity and background. On the other side, at the end of his statement, Lin Chen gave a mysterious smile to Yun Manqing. I will give you a surprise later. Yun Manqing was filled with joy and replied with a gentleman. After the first pair of partners, it was only until the 6th pair of partners that the second pair of partners managed to capture 3 flame spirits within the time limit. Immediately after, the 8th pair of partners also passed. Hong Ying and Yu Junxing were the 11th pair of partners. When it was their turn to go on stage, Yu Junxing even showed off his movement skills to everyone. What was even more shocking was that Yu Junxing asked Hong Ying to wait beside the sacred fire altar. He actually used 15 minutes to capture all 3 flame spirits, stunning everyone. They were all at the first level of the Heaven Dipper realm, but Yu Junxing had absolute strength that was superior to the other male prodigies. Finally, it was the turn of the highly anticipated Lin Chen and Yun Manqing. No one wanted to miss out on seeing how the domineering genius from the Heavenly Song General Courtyard would pass the first round. This young master doesn't believe that he can be faster than my 9 flashes of mysterious heaven. Yu Junxing sneered with disdain. His heart was filled with disdain for Lin Chen. This kid's mental strength was just slightly stronger and was at the 9th level of the Earth realm. How could he overturn the heavens? The 12th pair. Are you ready? The beautiful woman in red who was hosting the event smiled politely at the 2 of them. No problem. We can start anytime. Lin Chen and Yun Manqing were standing in the air outside the pavilion. Suddenly, a certain Lin Chong snickered. Manqing, you have to hold my hand tightly later. Oh no, hold me tight. Don't let go. Yun Manqing's face was slightly red, as if it was burning. She blissfully agreed. The 12th couple, Lin Chen and Yun Manqing, will now participate in the first segment. Boom! As soon as the beautiful woman elder finished speaking, the energy barrier was activated. The sacred flame altar emitted scorching heat and instantly enveloped the surrounding space, making it extremely hot. This scorching heat felt as though it could even burn the battle chi. Yun Manqing subconsciously circulated her battle chi to resist, but in the blink of an eye, she was drenched in sweat. She was different from the other senior sisters who had already reached the Heaven Dipper realm. Apart from junior sister Ji, she was a few decades younger than the senior sisters. Everyone had already reached the Heaven Dipper realm, but she was still at the half-step Heaven Dipper realm. Her resistance to the sacred flame's heat wasn't as strong as the senior sisters. Manqing, hold me tight. I have a big gift for you. Yun Manqing shyly hugged Lin Chen's waist in front of everyone. For someone like her who had always been reserved, it was very rare for her to take the initiative to do such a bold thing. It's so cool. Suddenly, Yun Manqing realized that her entire body was encircled by the cool and refreshing water-type energy. It was as though she was in the middle of the sea, and the cool and refreshing sea breeze assaulted her face. She saw that Lin Chen's body was translucent and glowing with azure blue battle chi. This was the prowess of his converted water-type energy bloodline. After absorbing the azure jade sea dew, Lin Chen's water-type energy attribute value had already exceeded 10 million points. The residual heat of the sacred flame altar might be high, but it was still inferior to the water-type battle chi that Lin Chen had converted from his special water-type bloodline. Not only did Yun Manqing not feel the scorching heat, but she also felt a cooling sensation. Special bloodline user? Good lad, he hit it so well. What a pure water-type battle chi. The 8 Desolation Hall's Supreme Elder's eyes lit up as he clicked his tongue in wonder. Something isn't right. Even if he has a special water-type bloodline user, he is only at the 9th level of the Earth realm. It is impossible for him to resist the high residual heat of the sacred flame. Take a look again. This lad's battle chi intensity is far beyond the 9th level of the Earth realm. It isn't inferior to the 1st level of the Heaven Dipper realm. Such an exquisite and tyrannical cultivation technique. A group of old monsters looked at each other and saw shock and astonishment in each other's eyes. Manqing, hold on tight. Lin Chen let out a carefree smile. His legs transformed into a pale green wind-type battle chi while his purple phoenix wings suddenly extended. Boom! A world-shaking violent wind blew up and brought up a torrential flaming storm. With the combination of the purple phoenix wings and the wind-type bloodline, Lin Chen's speed was several times faster than a regular Heaven Dipper realm martial artist. The 3 flame spirits that just appeared were frightened by this aura and quickly scattered in all directions. How is this possible? Yu Juanxing's eyes nearly popped out. The entire banquet was filled with gasps of cold air. The other companions who had just finished the first segment were also gasping for cold air. Inside the sacred flame altar, the high temperature was unbearable and the battle chi was limited. It was already considered extremely fast to be able to utilize 20% of one's actual movement speed. But Lin Chen's speed was simply ridiculously fast. Let alone being limited by 20%, even if everyone was given a normal condition, they wouldn't be able to burst out with such speed. Where did this monster come from? Wind-type battle chi. Could he have 2 types of special bloodlines? No, let's look again. A rare look of excitement and curiosity appeared on the faces of the leaders of the various sections. Their eyes were fixed on Lin Chen's figure. Then, a strange scene appeared. In the sky above the sacred flame altar, waves of fire were rolling and hurricanes were roaring. The 3 flame spirits were being chased in a hurry. But with Lin Chen's speed, he only needed a blink of an eye to catch the 3 flame spirit. But he seemed to be doing it on purpose. He purposely reduced his speed when he was about to catch the flame spirits, then the 3 little flame spirits would rapidly change directions. It was as if he was toying with them in the palm of his hand. But it wasn't over yet. The 3 flame spirits would leave behind a dazzling red light in their tracks and space. As a result, the 3 flame spirits' tracks actually gradually formed a heart shape. Then, an even more miraculous scene appeared. The 3 little elves' escape routes outlined the words Manqing once again. When the last stroke of the word Manqing was completed, Lin Chen suddenly sped up and caught the 3 flame spirits. Therefore, everyone could clearly see this marvelous scene from the high altitude of tens of thousands of feet. A fiery red heart was suspended in the sky, and in the middle of the heart were Yun Manqing's 2 words, Manqing. The fiery red heart wrapped around Manqing tightly. Under the burning fire, it looked dazzling, beautiful, and dazzling. Everyone was dumbstruck, and their minds went blank. Someone suddenly shouted at the banquet, "Quick! Bring the tangerines! And my show country's imperial jade seal and walnuts." Chapter 199. This Zhang Dishui actually used 3 little flame fairies to draw a peach heart scene and Yun Manqing's name. Furthermore, He didn't make a single mistake and displayed it perfectly. Was this something a human could do? Manqing, come, take a look at this surprise. Do you like it? Lin Chun held Yun Manqing's hand and walked through the air. He pointed at the fiery red peach heart and asked with a smile. Yun Manqing's jade-like hands lightly covered her red lip. Her beautiful eyes flickered with hope as boundless love welled up in her heart. For a moment she was stunned. Not to mention Yun Manqing, even the beautiful female elder hosting the event was overflowing with the heart of a young girl. She was so engrossed in the beautiful scenery that she forgot to announce Lin Chen's result. The experts of the older generation were still fine, but the young ladies were all stunned. If one day they could have such a godlike man standing in front of them, sheltering them from the wind and rain, and giving them such a unique and creative surprise, they would be satisfied even if they died. Looks like we still underestimated him. This brat was so skillful just now, ha ha. Strange, this brat's actions are so shocking. Why didn't I know that there was such a person in Tiangu Academy? Could he be a new student? Hasn't Tiangu Academy been recruiting new students in various regions recently? Impossible. How can a new student be a young merit warrior? In the history of Tiangu Academy, no one has been able to become a young merit warrior as a new student. The big shots of the various sects were becoming more and more curious about Lin Chen's true identity. In the past 1,000 years, they had never been so curious and expectant of such a young cultivator. Thank you, Lin Chen. Yun Manqing turned around and hugged Lin Chen, crying tears of joy. Seeing this scene, the beautiful female elder hosting the event regained her senses and immediately announced. The 12th pair of partners, Zhang Deshuai and Yun Manqing. Past the first segment time used. Less than 15 minutes. Yu Junxing felt as if he had been struck by lightning as he stood there in a daze. Less than 15 minutes? Wasn't this even faster than him? Too beautiful. I'm so envious of junior sister Manqing for being able to find such an amazing man. I'm looking forward to seeing his real face more and more. What kind of face would his mask look like? Hee, could it be as he said, that he is very, very handsome? All of you, what are you doing? Are you in heat? He already has junior sister Manqing. It's not even your turn to line up. Maybe he's an affectionate person. Senior sister, why do you care so much? Don't all experts have multiple wives? The female disciples of the Sun Temple were having a heated discussion, which made most of the male disciples of the Sun Temple angry. What the hell was there to do? This brat had charmed all the girls in their Sun Temple. In the future, they wouldn't even be able to drink soup. Lin Chun held Yun Manqing's hand and slowly descended from the sky. Along with the fiery red peach heart, the red light gradually dispersed and sprinkled on their bodies. The two of them were like a celestial couple that came from the horizon, making others envious. After landing in the pavilion, Yu Junxing happened to be not far from Lin Chun. Lin Chun glanced at him. At this moment, silence spoke louder than 1,000 words. Many people snickered secretly, but they didn't dare to laugh out loud. Yu Junxing had just said that he was the fastest person to pass the first round. Who would have thought that he would be slapped in the face? Are you convinced? You have to be. He's faster than you, prettier than you, and more handsome than you. If you're not convinced, you can go up and get a peach heart too. F***ck, don't let me meet you in the next round. Otherwise, I'll personally torture you to death, you bastard. Yu Junxing gritted his teeth. It was as if he had never been humiliated like this before. Next up is the second round, the battle between the dragon and phoenix. Sacred source first. 12 pairs of partners, please step forward and draw lots to battle. The winner will have the opportunity to advance to the third round. The beautiful female elder smiled and waved her hand. After a flash of light, an exquisite jade box appeared. 12 pairs of partners stepped forward. Some of the more powerful male prodigies, who were extremely confident in their strength, finally felt a sense of exhilaration. It was as if they were about to see the scene of them winning. "Don't let me pick you, Zhang Deshuai. Otherwise, I'll let you know that I'm one of the top 3 in the Eternal Rain Palace." Yu Junxing no longer had the calm demeanor he had at the beginning. He sneered sinisterly. His eyes flashed with intense killing intent. "You're not handsome, but you're quite good at bragging. Do you think you're the only one who knows how to brag? My Azure Dragon knows how to brag too." Lin Chen whistled with a smile. The ancient Azure Dragon lying on the side of the mountain suddenly let out a long roar and flew towards the 5-colored heavenly beetle on the other side of the mountain in an aggressive manner. "Azure Dragon, show him what it means to be a braggart." Lin Chen laughed loudly. The ancient Azure Dragon glared at the 5-colored heavenly beetle fiercely. Coincidentally, the 5-colored heavenly beetle was also a female. It was squashed by the ancient Azure Dragon and screamed in fear. All the VIPs were dumbfounded by this scene. "Enough. Zhang Deshuai, do you only dare to rely on external forces to be arrogant? Do you dare to fight with me?" Yu Junxing was unable to gain an advantage over Lin Chen in any aspect. He finally flew into a rage out of humiliation and said angrily, "No problem. If I could choose my opponent, I would definitely choose the 2 of you. You 2 are the weakest in the entire arena." Lin Chen's frivolous voice made Yu Junxing furious every single time, and he was constantly hovering on the edge of exploding with rage. He forcefully suppressed his anger and cupped his fists towards the red-clothed beauty. "Elder, I'm Yu Junxing. Please change the name of our opponents to Zhang Deshuai and Yun Manqing," Yu Junxing said angrily, issuing a gentleman's challenge. "No, according to the rules of the assembly, there can be no personal fights in the results of the draw. Everything is up to the will of the heavens. I hope, young master, you won't have such thoughts," the red-clothed beauty shouted. Lin Chen immediately shook his head and laughed. Yu Junxing was deflated. He clenched his teeth and stood back. "Now, let's start the draw. The 2 pairs of partners who have drawn the same number will be your opponent." The red-clothed beauty opened the jade box in front of each pair of partners. There were 12 star jades inside. Everyone took one. Yu Junxing and Hong Ying drew a star jade with the number 4 engraved on it. Next was the 9th pair of partners, Lin Chen and Yun Manqing. "Since you, Yu Junxing, want to fight so much, we can't be afraid." Lin Chen laughed strangely and deliberately chose a star jade. He turned over his palm and it turned out to be the number 4 too. At this moment, everyone was shocked. Lin Chen's words and actions seemed to have seen through the star jade in the jade box. There was a battle chi seal on it that even the big shots of the sex couldn't see through. How did he do it? Chapter 200. How is this possible? The red-clothed beauty was flabbergasted. How was it possible to see through the battle chi seal that was personally set up by the Supreme Elder? Good lad, this kid actually saw through the battle chi seal on the star jade. This is the seal set up by that crazy woman from the Sun Saint Hall. Even we can't see through it. He hid it very well. This kid hid it very well. This kid seems to have a lot of secrets. Every time we find out about him, we are only discovering the tip of the iceberg. A few of the influential figures from the various sects had once again entered a state of re-understanding of Lin Chen. Lin Chen's actions shocked everyone. Even though the red-clothed beauty said that no private battles were allowed, this was the battle lot that was drawn, and the Sun Saint Hall couldn't go back on their words. Enemies are truly bound to meet on a narrow road. You can even draw it like this. The red-clothed beauty looked at the 2 pairs of companions with a strange expression and continued to pass the jade box to the people behind. "It doesn't matter if you saw through it or not. I will make you regret this decision." Yu Junxing revealed his true nature and let out a savage grin. "Regret? Who will be the one regretting it?" Lin Chen let out a mysterious smile and spoke in a frivolous tone. Just the two of you? Apologies, pardon me for being blunt. I don't even think highly of the two of you. Let's not talk about me making a move. Any one of us here can take on the two of you. Lin Chen shrugged his shoulders, causing an uproar in the crowd. 1 against 2? Hong Ying was one of the top 5 disciples of the Sun Saint Hall, and was already at the Heaven Dipper realm at such a young age. Yu Junxing was even more terrifying. He was one of the top 3 prodigies of the Eternal Rain Palace, and his master was the strongest supreme elder of the Eternal Rain Palace. He had a boundless foundation. In terms of cultivation, he was already at the 2nd level of the Heaven Dipper realm. In terms of combat strength, Yu Junxing was almost at the 3rd level of the Heaven Dipper realm. With this lineup, a 9th level Earth realm martial artist could take on 2 at once? Isn't this too arrogant? Just because he has some strength, he thinks he can be a vile character? That's right. 1 against 2 is simply looking down on him. I think he is just a hedonistic disciple. With his 9th level Earth realm cultivation, he thinks he can take on 2 at once? You're just a little stronger than me. What's there to be cocky about? Some of the male disciples of the Sun Temple, who had been holding grudges for a long time, angrily shouted out. Although Hong Ying's character wasn't very good, she was still a member of the Sun Temple. Wasn't looking down on her the same as looking down on the Sun Temple? Some of the veteran experts who originally had a good impression of Lin Chen were suddenly disappointed in this young man. Wasn't this a typical case of a villain intoxicated by success? Little guy, you can't deal with the two of them by yourself. Let Manqing help you. Even Granny Qian was trying her best to persuade him. Lin Chen laughed heartily. Ha! Did you all get something wrong? Who said that I was going to fight them one-on-one? It was my Manqing who was going to fight them one-on-one. Lin Chen's smile stunned everyone even more. What? Yun Manqing challenged Yu Junxing and Hong Ying by herself? Yun Manqing's strength and potential were publicly acknowledged by the Sun Temple. If it was just a battle between women, she could fight with Hong Ying for 600 rounds and not be at a disadvantage. But if they insisted on a victor, Hong Ying alone was enough to defeat Yun Manqing. After all, she was much younger than Hong Ying, not to mention there was Yu Junxing. Wasn't this pushing his woman to her death? Zhang Deshuai, I don't know what medicine you're selling in your gourd. Since you want your woman to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Yu Junxing was so angry that he laughed. Would he be defeated by a woman who was half a step into the Heaven Star border realm? What a joke. It was the biggest joke in the world. Even Yu Junxing couldn't imagine how such a thing would happen. How about it, Manqing? Are you confident? Lin Chen, who ignored Yu Junxing, winked at Yun Manqing and smiled. No one could see what he was thinking through his mask. I'll do whatever you say. Yun Manqing said softly. Her beautiful eyes were firmly fixed on Lin Chen's eyes, tender as water. At this moment, Yun Manqing was full of tenderness towards Lin Chen and trusted him unconditionally. Even if Lin Chen said he could pluck the moon dragon from the sky, she would believe him. Crazy, crazy, crazy. He must be crazy. Isn't this harming junior sister Yun Manqing? Elder Hua, should we stop them? How can they do this? Some male disciples asked the beautiful woman in red anxiously. Shut up, all of you. The two of them are the ones participating in the battle. If Zhang Deshuai insists on not doing anything, how can I force him to? The beautiful woman in red scolded. In fact, even she was very curious. What was Lin Chen trying to do? You probably want to show that you won't do anything at the beginning and then secretly use your mental strength to launch a sneak attack. I won't let you succeed in this kind of shady business. Yu Junxing sneered. Lin Chen glanced at him, shook his head, and laughed. Don't worry, I won't use my mental strength to attack, nor will I use my battle chi to attack. I won't use my physical strength to attack either. This made everyone even more curious. Could it be that he really wanted his partner to die? The drawing of lots is complete. Now let's invite our partners to enter the battle arena. The moment the beautiful woman in red announced, the ground shook and many buildings began to move. Then, from the ground rose a ring made of hard golden granite, suddenly appearing in front of the VIPs. The rings were arranged in all directions on the roof of the pavilion. At a glance, it was as vast as a plain. Every sturdy ring was set up with a powerful spatial enchantment, which could make the battle space even more stable. The rules of the battle are very simple. Both sides will fight until they can no longer fight or surrender. As soon as the beautiful woman in red finished speaking, all the partners jumped into the air and landed on their respective rings. Yu Junxing took Hong Ying and jumped onto the fourth ring. He turned to face Lin Chen and made a throat-slitting gesture. Lin Chen snickered in his heart. "You'll be crying later. Let's go." Holding the beautiful woman's white and soft hand, Lin Chen spread his purple phoenix wings. His figure flashed, and he appeared on the ring. The speed of the purple phoenix wings still made many people feel a lingering fear. They still couldn't understand. If Lin Chen and Yun Manqing teamed up, it would definitely be an exciting battle against Yu Junxing and Hong Ying. Why did he do such a stupid thing? Almost 80% of the audience was paying attention to the battle between Lin Chen and Yu Junxing. However, an even more inconceivable scene appeared after Lin Chen arrived on the ring. He took out a soft chair from his spirit storage ring and placed it at the corner of the ring. Then, he casually leaned back and casually took out a pair of black sunglasses and put them on. He held a glass of fine wine with crushed ice cubes in one hand and 2 fingers. He looked so lazy that the corners of everyone's mouths twitched wildly. F***CK. Why are you so calm? Are you here for a F***King convention or a vacation? Chapter 201. Manqing, don't be too kind. It's enough to use 10% of your strength to deal with them. Lin Chen waved his hand and smiled casually, as if he didn't care about the two of them at all. Many of the VIPs watching the battle twitched their lips. F***CK. 1 against 2 is already ridiculous enough. You F***king only use 10% of your strength? This is no longer a matter of contempt. This is simply ignoring them, right? Lin Chen's words seemed casual, but in fact, they were extremely arrogant. I'll personally cripple your woman in front of you later. Let's see if you can still smile so calmly. Yu Junxing smiled coldly and cruelly. His murderous intent was revealed as he locked onto Yun Manqing. Begin. With the order of the hosting elder, the battles in the 6 arenas started instantly. However, most of the people were paying attention to Lin Chen's battle. Everyone wanted to see what kind of dogskin plaster this kid was selling. 9 flashes in the black sky. Blazing rain. Hong Ying and Yu Junxing attacked together. Battle aura filled the entire arena, and blazing rain poured down like a violent storm. A stream of light flickered faintly in the air. The next time it turned in the air, it moved in the blink of an eye. It was impossible to see with the naked eye. From one's perception, it was as if it had jumped through space. It's a very advanced movement technique. It's at least a top-grade green class movement technique. If this kid doesn't have any trump cards, his woman will be defeated by these 2 people within 10 rounds. Once Yu Junxing and Hong Ying's trump cards were revealed, many of the veteran experts immediately predicted the outcome and had a rough idea in their hearts. The host has activated rune concealment mode. The host has used a level 2 slow rune. Activating cycle usage. Consuming 20,000 rune energy. Consuming 10,000 rune energy. Consuming 30,000 rune energy. The moment the system screen popped up, a sudden change occurred. Whoosh! The second flash of the 9 flashes in the black sky had just been used, and Yu Junxing's figure had only moved less than 100 meters. He couldn't even unleash a tenth of the original power of his movement technique. The blazing rain of fire was even louder than thunder. As soon as the battle chi was formed, it turned into a faint flame, as if it was being extinguished by the tide. It could not cause much damage at all. The two of them were shocked as a strange energy seeped into their bodies. The circulation of their battle chis, and even their movements became extremely sluggish. Starfire's silver sky. Yun Manqing's jade-like hand lightly waved, and thousands of silver flames flickered with specks of starlight. They were beautiful and magnificent and shot out like sharp arrows. Sizzle! The silver starlight flames easily burned through Hong Ying's blazing fire rain. Yu Junxing was forced to use his body movement skill at full speed due to the high temperature, but he was still touched by many of the flames, which burned a part of his soft armor. What kind of joke is this? I can't even dodge the attack of a half-step Heaven Dipper realm? Yu Junxing stared at his burned arm in disbelief. He wanted to circulate his battle chi to stop the injury, but it was extremely slow. Boom! That strange energy entered their bodies again, and it became even stronger and more terrifying. Her jade-like hand print gracefully in the air, and the fierce battle chi palm wind swept towards the two of them like a Heaven Dipper realm waterfall. A palm strike sent Hong Ying and Yu Junxing flying. Yun Manqing's slender jade-like finger flipped over, and with a decisive point she shouted, "Heaven Capital Red Flame, Suppression!" 100 zhang-wide heavenly capital fire seal engraved with mysterious patterns, completely crimson in color, exuding a heaven-suppressing aura, suddenly came crashing down from above the two of them. Bang! The violent and horrifying high temperature set off shocking heat waves on both sides, and the two of them were suppressed to the ground. Oh no, I can't circulate my battle chi. What's going on? The Heaven Capital Red Flame seal continued to suppress them, and the two of them vomited blood on the spot. Even taking any medicinal pills wouldn't work. Everyone suddenly stood up in shock. What was going on? Any Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 1 cultivator would be able to withstand Yun Manqing's attack. Obviously, she did not use her full strength, but the two of them could not withstand it. What kind of demonic art is this? It has slowed down, everything has slowed down. The battle chi and meridians in their bodies seem to be unable to circulate. Could it be that Lin Chen's doing? Some of the experts from the various sects were carefully sizing up Lin Chen and realized that he didn't even make a move, let alone his mental strength and battle chi waves. He didn't even move from his seat. How is this possible? Could it be that this lass from the Sun Saint Temple has some mystical method to restrict the opponent's battle chi? But this is too abnormal. It is impossible for these two youngsters to avoid our senses and execute some secret art. Could it be that Zhang Dishuai's kid has some method that even we can't detect? The few experts and big shots from the various sects were all stunned on the spot. Even they couldn't figure out what was going on. Could it be that a half-step Heaven Dipper realm and a 9th-level Earth realm martial artist could avoid the senses of so many people and suppress Yu Junxing and Hong Ying? But if the two of them didn't do anything, then it doesn't make sense. Could this kid be from one of those aristocratic clans? A few of the big shots from the various sects looked at each other in shock. Only those ancient aristocratic clans could have such methods that were beyond common sense. The fear of humans originated from the unknown. Lin Chen's methods had completely intimidated these experts from the older generation. No, don't fight anymore. We admit defeat, we admit defeat. Blood seeped out from the corner of Hong Ying's mouth. Her face was filled with fear as she constantly begged for mercy. Yu Junxing wasn't any better. His heart silently produced an unprecedented fear. The feeling of not being able to circulate battle chi was simply too horrifying. It was like a soaring eagle suddenly had its wings broken and was thrown into a bottomless abyss. It was constantly falling and falling. There was no way to know what was at the bottom of the abyss. This constantly expanding sense of fear was sometimes even more torturous than killing a person. We admit defeat. Yun Manqing only withdrew her battle chi when Yu Junxing cried out in fear. Stage 4, Zhang Deshui, Yun Manqing wins the second round. The red-clothed beauty suddenly yelled out and immediately announced the result. Her beautiful eyes were looking at Lin Chen with a trace of reverence and fear. Until the end of the battle, all the younger generation were still in a state of confusion. What happened? What were they doing? Why did the battle end? This time, the experts from the older sex looked at Lin Chen with a different expression. In the earlier situation, let alone Yun Manqing, even a slightly stronger 9th-level Earth Realm expert could defeat the two of them. Lin Chen was just a 9th-level Earth Realm martial artist. He didn't even need to make a move and had already settled two prodigies from the first-rate factions. What kind of concept was this? It was effortless. A 9th-level Earth Realm martial artist slaughtering a Heaven Dipper Realm martial artist effortlessly? In the air, that hoarse voice couldn't conceal the shock as he gasped in amazement. This kid is truly shocking. Chapter 202. At the VIP banquet, everyone felt a lingering fear towards Lin Chen's methods. It was completely beyond their imagination. If he only defeated the two of them in a duel, everyone would at most be amazed by his strength and potential. However, what he displayed was the most complete and utter suppression. Furthermore, it was a suppression of strength that no one dared to imagine. Even the sect leaders couldn't see any traces of his actions. This already proved that if Lin Chen wanted to kill the two of them, it would be as simple as fishing for items in his bag. Even a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 4 expert would find it difficult to completely suppress the two of them to the point where they couldn't even retaliate. At this moment, Lin Chen's identity and foundation were completely shrouded in a mysterious veil. Behind this veil, no one knew what he truly looked like. Lin Chen glanced at his rune energy point. He still had a total of 85 million points. I didn't expect that the 3 rune energy attribute light balls just now would have 2 million points of rune energy each. The foundation of this first-rate sect is indeed deep. Although he was secretly delighted, Lin Chen still looked calm on the surface. In that wave of suppression, Lin Chen consumed nearly 1 million points of rune energy to completely suppress Hong Ying and Yu Junxing. They didn't even have the strength to retaliate. Through everyone's reaction, Lin Chen could be considered to have put down a huge stone in his heart. After this battle, he believed that no one in the Sun Temple would bully or make things difficult for Yun Manqing anymore. His rune energy could be considered to be worth it. Lin Chen, I'm so happy. When Yun Manqing held Lin Chen's hand, she stuck her cheek to his and smiled faintly. Her beauty was peerless. Look, you should smile more. You look so good. Lin Chen laughed shamelessly. Yun Manqing's heart was incomparably satisfied as she held his 5 fingers tightly. The remaining 5 battles were already dull to the VIPs. No matter how exciting it was, it couldn't be compared to the impact of Yun Manqing and Lin Chen's battle. The partner who wins this round can directly participate in the holy fire baptism of the 4 superior spots. In view of the outstanding performance in the first segment, there are 2 couples. Lin Chen and Yun Manqing entered the 3rd round, while Yu Junxing and Hong Ying were eliminated on the spot. There was something intriguing about this. Although Yu Junxing was suppressed by Lin Chen, his performance in the first segment was second only to Lin Chen. Although he was no match for Lin Chen and Yun Manqing in the 2nd round, with his strength, it was reasonable for him to enter the 3rd round. From the looks of it, this was the Sun Temple's attitude towards Zhang Deshui. They would rather give up on Yu Junxing and Hong Ying than offend Lin Chen. How is this possible? We don't even have a medium rank. Hong Ying's face turned pale, and she stood there in a daze. She was filled with regret. Why did she have to offend Yun Manqing? Was it because her excellence had attracted the attention of the hallmaster? If he had been a little more magnanimous, perhaps it would have been a different scene now. This young master doesn't even have a mid-tier slot? Yu Junxing was so angry that his veins were popping out, but he didn't dare to say anything. He was completely terrified of Lin Chen's strength. He didn't dare to have any thoughts of resistance. Even if he was angry, it was useless. Now, the partners of the third round, please enter the sacred flame space. Remember, not everyone is qualified to be purified by the sacred flame. You must pass through the sacred flame space. If you can't, use this spatial fire jade to teleport back. The beautiful woman in red flicked her finger, and several flames shot out. A fiery red jade appeared in the hands of all the partners. Holding the jade in their hands, they could feel the spatial energy injected into it. This kind of spatial energy stone could only be made by Heaven Star Border Stage 5 and above. The beautiful woman in red waved her hand lightly, and 5 spatial vortexes appeared from the top of the pavilion. Inside the spatial vortexes there was a world of fire. Countless flaming stairs extended to the top. Suddenly Lin Chen's eyes lit up. In the 5th spatial vortex, he saw rich and colorful attribute light balls. There were attribute light balls scattered on the flaming stairs. Especially at the top of the stairs, there was an attribute light pillar that shot up to the sky. A purple gold treasure chest that was surrounded by flames was rotating inside. Manqing, let's go. Lin Chen held Yun Manqing's hand and took the lead to enter the 5th spatial vortex. The beautiful woman in red and Granny Qian's eyes flashed with surprise. Although Lin Chen had obtained a top-tier slot for the holy fire baptism, the 5th spatial vortex was where the holy fire was the strongest and also the most difficult. This kid recognized it at a glance and entered it immediately. Was this a coincidence or? After all the partners entered the holy fire space, the spatial vortex distorted into a scene, showing the scene of all the partners in the holy fire space. The holy fire in the holy fire space is completely different from the altar. The Grand Elder of the 8-Wind Temple stroked his beard and frowned. I remember that the holy fire of the sacred Sun Temple can affect the whole body. It is famous for burning the negative emotions in people's hearts. Before it burns and purifies all the negative emotions, it will stimulate the entire person to a very violent state. That is why it requires partners to support each other by the side to prevent them from becoming crazy demons. Another sect leader thought for a while and said, "It seems that in the past, the sacred Sun Temple once put an outstanding genius disciple into the sacred flame space. In the end, that disciple was too proud to leave in time and was burned to ashes by the sacred flame. It has begun. These little fellows have already become unstable under the holy fire baptism." A sect leader looked at the 1st and 2nd spatial vortexes. The 2 pairs of partners inside were already a little unstable. Their eyes were red and they were about to go berserk. The situation in the 3rd and 4th spatial vortexes was slightly better. However, the speed at which they walked up the stairs was also very slow. They looked like they were struggling in pain, and it seemed like they would collapse at any time. Sigh, the disciples this time are not as determined as before. I wonder if more than 2 of them can complete the holy fire baptism. In the void, an obscure old woman's voice sighed faintly. However, just as she finished speaking, someone in the VIP banquet exclaimed, What's going on?" Everyone looked in the direction of the voice. They saw an abnormal scene in the 5th spatial vortex, and they instantly felt their scalps go numb. In the 5th spatial vortex of the holy fire, Lin Chen carried Yun Manqing and rushed up a few steps in one breath. Then, he bent down and groped around. No one knew what he was grabbing. The only thing that could be seen was that the 2 of them were not affected by the holy fire space at all. Lin Chen ran all the way and disappeared from everyone's sight with Yun Manqing. The image of the holy fire space suddenly disappeared. This meant that the two of them had reached the top of the spatial vortex of the holy fire and successfully obtained the right to be baptized by the holy fire. All the sacred Sun Temple disciples were stunned on the spot. Chapter 203. Lin Chen was like a fish in water in the sacred flame space. Large amounts of elemental balls of light were taken away by him, and the system's light screens were constantly popping up without stopping. On the other side, at the Sun Temple's VIP banquet, everyone felt their scalps go numb. Not even a quarter of an hour had passed. While the other partners were still bitterly holding on, Zhang Deshuai had already reached the top of the sacred flame space. The sacred flame will ignite all the negative emotions in the human's 7 emotions and 6 desires. This kind of burning disregards the limits of cultivation, unless one is far stronger than the sacred flame. Could it be that this kid isn't human? How can he run so fast? The mouths of the Sun Temple's elders and disciples were so wide open that an egg could fit inside. Lin Chen's actions had completely overturned their understanding of the sacred flame's baptism. Other than thinking that Zhang Deshuai wasn't human, they couldn't think of a second possibility. Inside the sacred flame space, I didn't think that this fantasy limitless net would be such a good thing. Lin Chen stood at the top of countless steps, stroking a strand of light pink silk around his neck as he spoke with great satisfaction. When he first entered the sacred flame space, even Lin Chen felt that it was a bit troublesome. However, he did not expect that the fantasy limitless net that he had obtained from killing the illusory demon disc could actually absorb the negative emotions that he and Yun Manqing were emitting, allowing him to walk through the sacred flame space as though it was flat ground. Lin Chen put the fantasy limitless net back into the spirit storage ring with great satisfaction and looked around. Lin Chen, look, that's the sacred flame ancestral altar. The place to receive the sacred flame's baptism. Yun Manqing pointed into the distance, where there was a grand and imposing building in the space in front of them. The two sides of the ancestral altar were shaped like jade hooks, and in the middle were 2 large seats. A ball of fire like the sun shone down from the endless void. Even if Lin Chen used the purple gold pupils creating something from nothing realm, he couldn't detect where the fire was coming from. The light of the sacred flame seemed to come from a different place. Lin Chen was also surprised. Thinking of what would happen next, Yun Man's face turned red, and her delicate ears turned red. Her eyes seemed to be dripping with water. Lin Chen didn't notice the change in Yun Manqing. His attention was completely focused on the purple gold treasure chest in front of the ancestral altar. He walked over and opened the purple gold treasure chest. There was a scarlet scroll in the air. It turned into a stream of light and shot into Lin Chen's forehead. The system's screen immediately popped up. Host has opened the purple gold treasure chest. You have obtained a special combat skill, Myriad Fire Web Technique. 10,000 layers of Fire Web Technique? What the hell is this? Lin Chen curiously released his spiritual force to explore the secret scroll. This cultivation method had no rank or description, and he didn't know what it was. The 10,000-layer fire web technique condenses one's own fire element energy and weaves it into layers upon layers of fire webs to be arranged within one's body. It can achieve the effect of blocking out the detection of one's aura from the outside world. Lin Chen's eyes lit up after he had a rough understanding of it. Good. This 10,000-layer fire web technique can completely block out the detection of my aura. This is good stuff. This is the standard of a pretentious prick. I've made a fortune. Ah. Lin Chen was in a good mood. After putting away the 10,000-layer fire web technique, he looked up at the holy flame above his head. Suddenly, Lin Chen asked curiously, Manqing, I want to ask you something. Manqing, let me ask you a question. Legend has it that the ancient families have the eternal holy fire that existed since the creation of the world. Is the holy fire of your solar temple the same as that? The blush on Yun Manqing's face faded a little, and she said with a sweet smile, "They are the same but also different. No force in the spiritual state is qualified to have the true eternal holy flame. Even if they have it, they can't keep it. To be precise, the holy flame of our Sun Saint Palace is the seed flame of one of the many eternal holy flames. It can have 1/100th or 1/100th of the power of the main flame." Lin Chen came to a sudden realization. It seemed that this was a seed flame and not the source. A seed flame can create a first-rate force in the spiritual state and support the foundation and development of a 10,000-year-old sect. If it was an ancient family that had the original flame, they would be able to do whatever they want. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. He had too little information about the ancient families and could only make inferences and judgments based on what he knew. If that was the case, he still had a long way to go before he could help Ning Qingxian. "I'll accept the baptism of the holy flame first. I've just collected a huge amount of battle force essence and am not far from the Heaven Star Border Realm. As long as I break through to the Heaven Star Border Realm, Brother Chen will have no qualms about anything below the 5th level of the Heaven Star Border Realm." After cutting off all distracting thoughts, Lin Chen walked to the two-seat. Yun Manqing followed closely behind him. She was scared and nervous, but she also had a hint of anticipation. Whoosh! The two walked to the front of the seats, and the flames in the void slowly shone down, forming two light pillars on the seats. After looking at each other, the two entered the light pillars and sat cross-legged on the seat. The light pillars instantly emitted a bright light, and wisps of holy light shone down from the void and entered the two's bodies. The holy light seemed to be enlightened, and it entered their internal organs, limbs, and even meridians from the top of their heads. Chi-chi! Wisps of smoke rose from the top of their heads and disappeared quietly. The colorful and complicated energy hidden in the two's bodies, bloodlines, and genes began to be completely cleansed. This complicated and useless energy couldn't be removed by any top-grade elixir that could cleanse one's muscles and marrow. They were deeply engraved in the genes of a living being and were born from the same source as life. Apart from the eternal holy flame that could purify them at the beginning of the chaos, there was no other way to remove them. Boom! Lin Chen's consciousness evolved like never before. His spiritual senses improved by a few steps, and his purple-golden eyes also improved by a lot. Flesh, shell, battle force, spirit, bloodline. They were all jumping for joy. Lin Chen's genes seemed to be undergoing a shocking transformation. The most direct example was to compare the human body to a container of water. This container could originally hold 10,000 liters of water, but after being cleansed by the holy flame, it could now hold 30,000 liters of water. Most importantly, the container that could hold 30,000 liters of water didn't expand in size. What changed was only its own mass. To put the energy of 30,000 liters of water into a container that could only hold 10,000 liters of water, such a heaven-defying thing could only be done by changing the genes of a living being. Just as Lin Chen sensed the transformation of his genes, an evil fire quietly emerged from his lower abdomen. It couldn't be suppressed at all. Lin Chen's expression changed, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. F***ck, it can't be, right? There's such a thing? Chapter 204. Outside, in the mountains outside the Sun Palace, an ancient azure dragon was coiled up behind the mountain. Its eyes were closed, and its body was burning with the sacred sun fire. When the light of the flames shone, it attracted the attention of many veteran experts, and they were surprised and bewildered. Isn't this azure dragon Zhang Deshuai's mount? How did it suddenly become so strong? No. Look, its aura is getting purer and purer. And the flames on its body, aren't those the flames in the sacred fire space? The elders of the Sun Temple felt a kind of fear in their hearts. This azure dragon didn't even enter our sacred fire space. How did it get baptized by the sacred fire? Could it be that it's stealing our sacred fire? How did it do it? Some of the Heaven Realm elders immediately surrounded the ancient azure dragon. They were all filled with killing intent. The sacred fire was the root and foundation of the Sun Palace. No matter who touched it, the Sun Palace must protect it with their lives. Is this Lin Chen here to steal the sacred fire of the Sun Palace? Just as the leaders of the various sects had grave expressions, the cryptic old woman's voice slowly rang out in the air. Don't panic, return to your original positions. This kid should be receiving the sacred fire's baptism now. His ancient azure dragon is not that kid's mount, but a creature of the same origin as him. In other words, it's a part of his body. Since the main body is receiving the sacred fire's baptism, this azure dragon should be in the same state. The elders immediately retreated after the Sun Palace's grand ancestor spoke. However, the VIPs present were shocked. This azure dragon and that kid came from the same origin. It was a part of that kid's body? If that was the case, it was too terrifying. The human race and the dragon race were two completely different life forms. How could they achieve the same origin? The benefits of the sacred fire's baptism depended on the limits of one's endurance and one's own potential. Lin Chen's foundation was already very good. With the ancient azure dragon's life origin in his dantian, the benefits he received from the sacred fire's baptism were far greater than anyone who had entered the sacred fire space before. But at this moment, Lin Chen was facing an urgent crisis of being a beast or worse than a beast. Inside the sacred flame space, the beautiful woman was like a lazy and soft cat as she scratched Lin Chen, gently spitting out fragrant orchids. Her hair was like a waterfall, and her snow-white skin was rosy and delicate. Her gentle green eyes flashed with deep love and charm. Her clothes were almost torn off, and she was pressed down on the seat with a dumbfounded expression. Even he himself was blushing. A strange, evil fire was burning in his body, stimulating his most primitive desires and reactions. The F***CK? What's going on? Does the holy flame baptism have such a side effect? Lin Chen recalled what Ling Ziki had said at the beginning. The holy fire baptism will bring you a lot of benefit. Moreover, if you can really pass the convention, there will be a surprise waiting for you when that time comes. You won't even have time to laugh. Oh right, I have to go out on a mission, so I won't be going back to the convention this time. I'll leave this big sister to you, F***CK. So this is the so-called surprise. Lin Chen panted heavily as he looked at the beautiful woman clinging to him. It would be a lie if he said that he wasn't moved. If he didn't have any thoughts at this time, he wouldn't be a F***king man. But he hadn't thought about how he was going to die here. Go? If I go, I'll be a beast. If I don't, I'll be worse than a beast. F***CK. I can't take it anymore. Is my big black dragon going to soar into the sky here? Lin Chen clenched his teeth so hard that he bit his lip until it bled. He forced himself to calm down and maintain his last shred of rationality. Looks like I have to use my ultimate move. This is, inside the holy flame space, spring was in full bloom, and no one was appreciating it. The night passed quickly. The next day, 2 pillars of battle chi shot into the sky and swept through the entire holy flame space. Large amounts of spiritual energy were transformed into flaming vortexes, which were then absorbed into the beautiful woman's body. The largest of them were the 9 energy vortexes of different colors. Each of them contained the stars, the sun, and the moon. With a slight rotation, the wind and clouds changed, and the aura of swallowing mountains and rivers. The spiritual energy floating in the air was constantly transformed into his battle chi, and finally formed a funnel shape that was absorbed into Lin Chen's body. Heaven's Star Border Realm. Lin Chen officially stepped into the Heaven's Star Border Realm. Congratulations to the host for stepping into the first level of the Heaven's Star Border Realm. The system has detected a new version, please update the host. Heavenly Tao Member Picking System version 3.0. This update will last for 48 hours. The host is unable to use any functions of the system other than picking up attribute light balls. Please choose a suitable time to update. The moment Lin Chen stepped into the Heaven Star Border realm, the system immediately popped up 2 screens. Oh, the new version is out. Lin Chen opened the system list, and various attributes were listed out. Heavenly Tao Member Picking System version 2.0 Host. Lin Chen Cultivation. Heaven Star Border Realm Level 1. Limit. 16 Dragon Power. Qi and Blood Energy. 1042. 15 billion points. Battle Qi Essence. 798. 11 billion points. Spiritual Power. 940,000 points. Cultivation Soul Essence. 2 million points. Mental Cultivation Method. 9 Calamities of Creation, 30% Cultivation Method. 8 Desolate Mysterious Fire, Taisher Holy Scripture, 50%. Divine Wilderness 9 Arts, 100%. Special Treasure. True Flame Purple Phoenix Wings, 100%. Bloodline Energy. Azure Dragon Bloodline 21,000 points. Purple Golden Pupil Bloodline 10,000 points. Characteristic Rune. Slow Rune Level 2, Corrosion Rune Level 2, Charging Rune Level 2 Rune Energy, 59 million points. Various Elemental Energy, Fire 12, 95 million points, Earth 9, 11 million points, Wood 8, 72 million points, Metal 10, 58 million points, Water 10, 11 million points, Lightning 8, 71 million points, Wind 8. 12 million points, Light 8. 91 million points, Dark 8. 38 million points. 9 Calamities of Creation, Divine Wilderness 9 Arts, Taisher Holy Scripture, and True Flame Purple Phoenix Wings all received unprecedented breakthroughs because Lin Chen stepped into the Heaven Star Border realm. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes slightly, and his figure suddenly flashed, tearing the void. Swish, swish, swish. The space distorted, and several ripples and fluctuations appeared one after another. After a short moment, Lin Chen's figure returned to the ancestral altar. I only need 3 breaths to be able to circle the entire sacred fire space, and that's under the premise that I don't need to rely on the purple phoenix wings. It's too much. The current me is many times stronger than an Earth realm expert. The baptism of the sacred fire has increased my body refinement realm by quite a bit. I feel so light. It's so light that it doesn't feel like it's mine. Lin Chen was intoxicated by this beautiful moment. Then, he touched his nose awkwardly, took out a new robe from the spirit collection ring, and draped it over the sleeping Yun Manqing. I didn't expect that after plucking flowers my whole life, I would almost be plucked by a flower. And it's such a gentle and virtuous girl. Lin Chen shook his head and laughed, and his consciousness went into the system again. System, I want to learn the myriad fire web art. Chapter 205. Even Lin Chen was shocked by the amount of soul essence he had consumed. It was even more than when he had cultivated the divine desolate 9 arts. A secret technique actually requires so many cultivation technique essences. Just how many cultivation steps are there? Before Lin Chen could finish sighing, a huge amount of cultivation records flooded into his mind. Lin Chen took them all in. The profoundness of the myriad layer fire web art, as well as the essence of concealing energy, all poured into Lin Chen's mind. The more memories he absorbed, the more Lin Chen sighed at the uniqueness of this secret technique. After another day and night, Lin Chen opened his eyes again. Dense fire webs interweaved in his pupils. Lin Chen's dantian and meridians were all covered by a fiery net composed of endless fire attribute battle qi. If he did not use battle qi to look inside himself, even Lin Chen would not be able to see through his own purple gold eyes. This 10,000-layer fire net art can actually set up a 10,000-layer fire net art to conceal one's aura. Even some extremely strong experts might not be able to see through me. No wonder it consumed so much cultivation technique essence. Exclaiming in his heart, Lin Chun connected his mind to the system and issued a second order. System, entering update. System receive. Entering update state. All system functions will be suspended. Update progress. 0.01%. Lin Chun retracted his consciousness. The murmur of a beauty beside him sounded. Lin Chun, you're awake? Lin Chun turned to look at Yun Manqing and said with a smile. Suddenly, Yun Manqing seemed to have thought of something. Her face immediately turned red. She held onto the loose robe that Lin Chun had draped over her. Her exquisite figure was faintly discernible with a touch of snow-white skin. But in the blink of an eye, Yun Manqing was about to cry again. Lin Chun, do you not like Manqing? No, definitely not. Then why did you? I did that because I like you. Isn't that right? The girl I like definitely wants to give her complete self to another person from the bottom of her heart, regardless of whether it's her body or her heart. That's why I can't take advantage of you in that state of delirium. Beads of sweat appeared on Lin Chuan's forehead as he hurriedly said, Really? Yun Manqing's beautiful eyes rippled as she stared at him. Very true, very true, very true. Lin Chun patted his chest and promised. The beautiful woman turned her face away, sparkling and translucent tears slowly slid down her cheeks. Manqing, what's wrong? For the first time, Mr. Lin, who had always dealt with girls with ease, panicked. What was going on? You're leaving soon, right? Wiping the tears from the corners of her eyes, Yun Manqing stared at Lin Chun. Yes. Lin Chun scratched his head and said helplessly. Suddenly, the beautiful woman lightly kissed Lin Chun's forehead. Blushing, she said with a serious expression, I know you still have a lot of things to do. You're definitely not a man who will stop at the spirit state. Manqing just hopes that after you rule the world, you can remember that there's still someone waiting for you here. Yun Manqing's long hair fluttered, and a wisp of battle chi flashed across her slender hand, cutting off a strand of hair in front of Lin Chun. When a woman cut off her hair, it meant that she had cut off her feelings in the world of the 9 continents, and her heart was only for one person. In this life, I, Yun Manqing, am your woman in life and your ghost in death. It will never change, and it will never change in this life. Yun Manqing smiled sweetly. Lin Chun felt touched and warm in his heart, and he hugged Yun Manqing. Don't worry, I, Lin Chun, will not be a heartless person. Lin Lang, thank you. By the way, what's your relationship with the 2 girls who went to the evil king's secret realm with you? Yun Manqing, who was still affectionate a moment ago, raised her head and asked in the next moment. She stared at Mr. Lin with a faint smile, which made the corner of his mouth twitch. Look at how scared you are. I was just joking. Yun Manqing burst into laughter. This was the first time she saw him in such a distressed state ever since she knew him. A man like you will become the center of attention no matter where you go. Manqing doesn't mind having a few more sisters. I just hope that you won't be fickle in love and let down the ladies of other families. Before the beauty could finish speaking, the young man's lips pressed against hers domineeringly. Sun Palace, Purple Sun Tower. All the distinguished guests had yet to leave. There were only 3 couples who had successfully received the sacred fire baptism. Now, the other 2 couples had already completed the sacred fire baptism, and only Lin Chun and Yun Manqing were left. Good fellow, the aura that this ancient azure dragon is emitting now is comparable to a Heaven Dipper realm stage 4. A few big shots from various sects were floating in the air in amazement, sizing up the ancient azure dragon that was lying behind the mountain peak. At this moment, the ancient azure dragon was almost 4,000 feet long. Its dragon scales were ferocious, and it was emitting a bright dragon aura. Its dragon claws were sharp, and it looked like a godly weapon from ancient times. Like Lin Chen, the ancient azure dragon had been baptized by the sacred fire. In terms of pure strength, the ancient azure dragon had 30 dragon power, which was comparable to a mid-stage Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 4 master. What an enviable aptitude! Outstanding mental strength, a genius physique refiner, and an ancient azure dragon that shares the same origin as him. If he is strong, the dragon will be strong as well. Don't forget the strange method that kid used to seal Yu Junxing. I think that's the most terrifying strength of this kid. This kid will definitely be a famous figure in the spiritual state in the future. I'm really looking forward to it. Just as the big shots from various sects were discussing the ancient azure dragon, the space distorted, and 2 figures walked out from the spinning space vortex. They looked like an immortal couple. Manqing and Yun Manqing are out, the elders of the Sun Temple exclaimed immediately. The 2 walked in the air and slowly landed on the roof of the Purple Sun Tower. Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 1? He really broke through. Granny Qian immediately returned to Yun Manqing's side with a gratified smile. Yun Manqing's foundation was already accumulated enough. She was half a step into the Heaven Dipper realm, and after the sacred fire baptism, she perfectly entered the Heaven Dipper realm. When everyone focused their attention on the masked Lin Chen, they were all stunned. Exclamations of surprise sounded one after another. Even the elder of the Sun Temple, who had been hiding in the void, was no exception. This kid's aura is wrapped in a net of endless fire elemental energy. It's so intertwined that we can't see through him. What happened to him? All the veteran masters were shocked. Judging from the signs of this kid walking in the air, he should have broken through to the Heaven Dipper realm. What a young junior. I haven't seen him for 2 days, and he had another fortuitous encounter. I hope he can take care of Manqing more in the future. In the void, the elder of the Sun Temple smiled in amazement, and his consciousness completely disappeared. The conference had completely ended, and there was no need for her to stay here. She could leave the rest to the other elders. Talented people are born in every generation. I hope that one day, this old man will be able to see the true identity of our young friend Zhang Deshuai. All the sect heavyweights laughed heartily and shook hands with Lin Chen enthusiastically. He seniors, you will have the chance. Lin Chen was very generous and shook hands with all the veteran masters. Suddenly, his eyes narrowed, and a flash of purple-gold light flashed by. A wisp of obscure killing intent was caught by Lin Chen's purple-gold eyes. It was born and extinguished quietly and disappeared in a flash. It seems like someone is trying to force me to kill. That's good. I've just broken through to the Heaven Dipper realm. Someone will send themselves to my door for practice. That's great. Lin Chen sneered in his heart. His battle intent was rising. Chapter 206. Many VIPs became extremely enthusiastic, not only towards Lin Chen, but also towards the Sacred Sun Hall. With Lin Chen, who had great potential, it was time for the various factions to stand on good terms with the Sacred Sun Hall. Sun Palace, high in the sky above the West Hall. Lin Chen, Yun Manqing, and Granny Qian were floating in the air. Lin Chen, kid, remember to come to the Sacred Sun Hall more often in the future. I'm waiting to attend your wedding banquet. Granny Qian, who had always been strict in the Sacred Sun Hall, smiled kindly at Lin Chen. In her heart, Yun Manqing had long been treated like her own granddaughter. Granny Qian, don't worry. I won't burn the bridge after crossing it. Lin Chen naturally knew what Granny Qian meant. He took off his mask and looked serious and sincere. By the way, Granny Qian, I have another question. What's the realm above the Heaven Star Border realm? Lin Chen took the opportunity to ask Granny Qian. Oh, you have extraordinary means, kid. I didn't expect you to not know this. Granny Qian chuckled and replied seriously. At the 5th level of the Heaven Star Border realm, one's battle chi will transform and merge with heaven and earth. At the same time, one will be able to control space, causing certain spatial distortions and changes, or tearing space apart to travel a short distance. After reaching the 9th level of the Heaven Star Border Realm, the Heaven Star Battle Soul in the body will expand and change from the inside. It will form a Yuan Mansion. When the Yuan Mansion is formed, it will become a Heaven and Earth Minor Dharma. It is equivalent to incorporating a small part of Heaven and Earth into one's body. This is the Yuan Venerate Realm. Every time a Yuan Mansion is formed, it is a realm. Above the Yuan Venerate Realm is the War Emperor Realm. Once an emperor appears, heaven and earth will bow down. I've never seen the legendary Combat Emperor Realm, but I've read some secret information in ancient books. If you want to break through to the Combat Emperor Realm, you have to shatter your Yuan Palace, and merge the battle chi in your Yuan Palace into your body. If one succeeds, one will become a War Emperor. If one fails, one's Yuan Mansion will shatter and one will die on the spot. The Yuan Venerate Realm and the War Emperor Realm is the boundary between life and death. Only those who have the perseverance and determination to cut off all means of retreat are qualified to peek into that legendary realm. Granny Qian's words were deeply engraved in Lin Chen's mind. Above the Heavenly Dipper Realm was the Yuan Venerate, and above the Yuan Venerate was the War Emperor. Either you die or you become an emperor. This is the War Emperor above the Yuan Venerate. Lin Chen's heart was filled with admiration and amazement. Those who were able to step into this realm had to have the determination to die in order to have the qualifications to ascend to the top. Thank you for your guidance, Granny Qian. This junior will remember it. Lin Chen cupped his fist gratefully. Granny Qian waved her hand and smiled indifferently. Lin Lang, Yun Manqing was reluctant to part with him, and her green eyes were filled with longing. She was the eldest disciple of the current generation of the Sacred Sun Temple. Other than Hong Ying and the other disciples of the previous generation, Yun Manqing had to lead the younger generation of this generation. There were still many matters waiting for her. Lin Chen didn't say anything. He just hugged Yun Manqing and separated from her after a long time. Then, Lin Chen stepped into the air and flew out of the Sacred Sun Temple with a smile. Words would only increase sorrow. Both of them knew this principle. Yun Manqing didn't say anything else. She just stared blankly in the direction Lin Chen had left, her heart feeling empty. Sky Song Academy Mission Hall. All sorts of missions flashed across the screen at an extremely fast speed, and they were accepted by the students again and again at an extremely fast speed. The recruitment of new students had just ended, so Old Yuan was happily lying down in the mission hall with nothing to do. Old Yuan was drinking wine and munching on peanut. He was holding a book called The Single-Player King's Secrets to Becoming Handsome in his hand and reading it happily. From time to time, he would glance at the mission screen. The first glance didn't matter, but the second glance caused Old Yuan to spit out the spirit wine he was drinking. A few green merit generals were startled and looked at him in bewilderment. Old Yuan didn't care about the gazes around him. His eyes were fixed on a blue mission box on the mission screen. He immediately said excitedly, "Damn it, this mission is practically made for that brat. Old Qin, help me accept this mission in the name of that Lin Chen brat." The Sacred Fire Mountain range of the Sacred Fire Palace was quite a distance away from the Sky Song Academy. With Lin Chen's current speed, it would take him 2 days and 2 nights to return to the academy. Spirit Void Mountain, within the jurisdiction of the third-rate Spirit Void sect. Lin Chen, who was flying at an extremely fast speed, suddenly landed on the peak of Spirit Void Mountain. Lin Chen shook his head slightly and sighed at the sky. Heavens! Why must I be so handsome? Why must I bear the pressure and handsomeness that I shouldn't bear at my age? Lin Chen shouted towards the sky in a baffling manner. Being handsome is so annoying. Even flying can attract attention. Moreover, it's the kind of pervert that followed me for a day and a night and followed me for hundreds of thousands of miles. If being handsome is a sin, then I, Lin Chen, am the most sinful person in the world. As the saying goes, if I don't go to hell, who will? Sigh, I really want to experience what it's like to not be handsome. Maybe I'll be like those people who didn't subscribe. Enough. I can't listen anymore. A thunderous roar broke Lin Chen's shouts. The wind and clouds in the sky suddenly changed. 10,000 zhang away from Lin Chen, 4 distorted shadows appeared. I've long heard that you're shameless, but I didn't think you'd reach such a level. I've lived for so many years, but this is the first time I've seen a weirdo like you. The black shadow in front of Lin Chen gradually appeared. The old man was wearing a bone armor and emitted a gloomy aura. He held a walking stick in his hand and carried a pitch-black scythe on his back that flickered with a cold light. Everyone, you've followed me for hundreds of thousands of miles. Aren't you very interested in this handsome guy's true face? Lin Chen chuckled and didn't panic at all. He slightly activated his purple-gold eyes and looked around. Streams of battle chi flowed on the 4 people. All of them were Heavenly Dipper Realm 4th layer and above powerhouses. The one who scolded Lin Chen was the old man with the scythe, and he was in the late stage of Heaven Dipper Realm level 4. Good lad, you found out that we were following you and you still dare to leave so far away. The old man with the scythe revealed a few yellow teeth. It was quite creepy. Big brother, be careful of traps. The others were on alert. The old man with the scythe waved his hand and said indifferently, "This is the Spirit Void sect. There won't be a single expert above Heaven Dipper Realm level 4 within 100,000 miles. This lad is a turtle in our jar. You guys aren't invited by the Sun Temple to participate in the conference, right? Let me guess, are you guys invited by the Eternal Rain Palace Elder from 80,000 miles away?" Lin Chen crossed his arms in front of his chest and didn't panic at all. He laughed mockingly. 4 Heaven Dipper Realm Level 4 experts. Furthermore, they encountered them during the system update. Lin Chen couldn't use the characteristic rune. If he encountered them when he was at the 9th level of the Earth Realm, he would probably die. But now, even if he couldn't win, if Lin Chen wanted to escape, they might not be able to stop him. Chapter 207. Seeing how calm Lin Chen's reaction was and how he was not pretending to be calm, the old man with the sickle, who had been an assassin for over 1,000 years, immediately felt that something was amiss. Attack. Don't get entangled with this kid, let's end this quickly. Soul-slaying lock. The 4 of them took up positions in the north, south, east, and west as they chanted the incantation. A gray battle chi pillar appeared in the air and instantly turned into a chain as thick as a python. Darkness attribute bloodline transformation. Lin Chen's body suddenly turned pitch black and eerie like a bottomless black hole. The astonishing darkness attribute battle chi infected the surrounding spirit energy. Waves of darkness rolled over Lin Chen's head. This was the first time his darkness attribute bloodline had been converted into darkness attribute energy after breaking through 4 million points. Every meridian in Lin Chen's body was filled with faint shadows, chanting demonic songs and demonic sounds from hell. Divine Wilderness 9 Arts, Dark Devour. Darkness attribute battle chi revolved in his palm, forming a dark wheel. Lin Chen struck out with his palm and the dark wheel suddenly expanded to hundreds of feet in size. The lightning-fast battle chi chains were swallowed by the wheel. The 4 people's joint attack was actually broken by Lin Chen's palm, and they were dragged over by the dark wheel. Tough opponent. Break battle technique. The black-robed old man's expression changed slightly, and he suddenly shouted coldly. The purplish-black sickle on his back rotated in his hand, as if it had a mind of its own. Cut him in 4 directions, he won't be able to do anything if we get close to him. As soon as the black-robed old man's voice fell, a dragon's roar that tore through the night sky suddenly surrounded the horizon. Roar! The ancient azure dragon that was covered in dragon's breath attacked from a distance. The dragon soared for thousands of miles, and like lightning, it suddenly attacked an early-stage Heaven Dipper realm 4th stage assassin. There is indeed an azure dragon hidden here. That person shouted and pulled out a demon-headed broadsword with one hand. With a vertical slash, the blood-red saber chi turned and slashed. The ancient azure dragon opened its mouth and spat out endless dragon's breath. As the dragon twisted its body, the dragon tail smashed the blood-red saber chi. Sky-een finger! Shio! An energy finger with a spiritual whistle crushed the two sides of the distorted space, and quickly crushed towards Lin Chen. Only to discover that it was just an afterimage? Not good. Big brother, he's heading towards you. Just as the middle-aged man who had launched the sneak attack shouted, a figure stepped on a green whirlwind and held a black spear in his hand. The purple flame wings on his back flapped slightly, and the distance of several thousand feet was traversed in the span of a breath. Thunder explosion! The black light spear, which was flowing with lightning, pierced through the void, and a lightning dragon burst out from the tip of the spear. The scythe's blade flashed and cut through the lightning dragon, causing a shocking explosion. You dare to fight in close combat with this old man? I think you're courting death, ugh. Before he could finish his words, the black-robed old man didn't even have time to react before a fist burning with crimson flames violently smashed into his face. Bang! This fist exploded, and a monstrous flame tornado wreaked havoc. Crack! The black-robed old man's few teeth were all knocked out. If it weren't for the protection of his treasure, Lin Chen's fist would have been enough to kill him. In the void, black smoke billowed. Lin Chen's entire body was emitting an aura that seemed to come from the dark underworld. The killing intent that lingered around him was like a demon king that had descended, looking disdainfully at the heavens. Lin Chen was about to follow up with another attack when suddenly, the black abyss spear turned around like a swimming dragon and furiously swept through the void. The dark-type battle aura turned into a waterfall and swept out from the tip of the spear, tearing apart the space in front of him and forming a crack. Clang! The spear light broke apart. A few meters in front of Lin Chen, a thin and weak man who looked like a monkey had eyes as sharp as an eagle's. You can even discover my concealment technique. What a troublesome young man. The thin and weak man squinted his eyes. His figure suddenly trembled as he used his movement technique at close range. Ghostly shadows continuously jumped through space like afterimages. Even Lin Chen couldn't immediately detect the direction of his attack. Heavenly Dipper Battle Aura. The indestructible golden light revolved around Lin Chen's body. The dark gold dagger constantly slashed on the Heavenly Dipper Battle Aura, bursting with dazzling sparks. Break for me! Lin Chen swung the black abyss spear with both hands. The saber light and spear shadows danced and collided together. The aftermath of the collision shook the clouds under the night sky. In just a dozen rounds, the speed of Lin Chen's black abyss spear had caught up to the speed of the thin and weak man's dagger. What kind of joke is this? What kind of brute force is this? The thin and weak man's eyes were filled with shock after his spear was shaken away by Lin Chen. Lin Chen's body was the same as a normal person's, but his pure strength was as strong as a ferocious beast. Light's fury. Before the thin and weak man could react, the light-type battle aura gathered into a vast ball of energy. It was like a setting sun that suddenly exploded above his head. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying aftermath of the explosion blasted the entire peak of Mount Lingshu into smithereens. Under the night sky, an endless aurora was released. It was like a newborn sun that could be clearly seen from tens of thousands of miles away. Lin Chen's light and dark battle chi energy were the strongest among the 9 attribute battle chis. When he was at the 9th level of the Earth realm, he was able to burst out with a power that was comparable to the peak of the 2nd level of the Heaven Dipper realm. Together with Lin Chen's pure strength, he was able to match someone at the 3rd level and above. Now that he had stepped into the Heaven Dipper realm, this light's fury was able to blast a few thousand feet tall mountain peak into smithereens. That thin and weak man who was at the middle stage of the 4th level of the Heaven Dipper realm was instantly crippled. He lost his left leg and right arm in the explosion, 80,000 miles away in the sky above a valley. Such terrifying power. This kid actually has such strength? The 8 Desolation Hall's elder, who was previously scolded by Lin Chen, was shocked and his heart was filled with fear. He was already used to calling the wind and calling the rain in the 8 Desolation Hall. After being scolded by Lin Chen at the banquet, he angrily left and harbored hatred in his heart. In the end, he coveted Lin Chen's background. He originally thought that by hiring 4 Heaven Dipper Realm 4th level martial artists, he could even entangle a 5th level martial artist. He didn't expect that within 100 rounds, one of them would die. If he didn't leave early and witnessed the scene of Lin Chen helping Yun Manqing defeat Yu Junxing without any suspense, perhaps he wouldn't dare to ambush Lin Chen even if he had 10 times the courage. Damn, I miscalculated. If this continues, the Black Mountain 4 ghosts might not be able to take him down with their strength. I can only retreat first. Old 4. The black-robed elder with blood on his face and another Heaven Dipper Realm 4th level martial artist roared at the top of their lungs. Their entire body surged with majestic battle chi. For your head. If you have the guts to kill me, then you better be prepared to be killed instead. Lin Chen's eyes revealed a murderous glint. His entire body suddenly surged with colorful battle chi and rushed into the sky, illuminating the entire horizon and making it gorgeous. Full attribute energy bloodline conversion. Azure Dragon Soul Splitting Claw. Without waiting for Lin Chen to show his might, the ancient Azure Dragon frantically waved the Azure Dragon Claw, and the Dragon Breath light blade danced across the sky. The Azure Dragon Soul Splitting Claw that can only be used once. The power is enough to match the full blow of the Heaven Dipper Realm 4th level martial artist. It instantly drowned the Ghost Blade Assassin. The purple phoenix wings suddenly spread out, and Lin Chen's speed once again increased by a level. The dancing afterimages in the sky were like meteors, so fast that the two people's perception couldn't catch it. Too scary. With Lin Chen's current strength, he can already fully display the full speed of the true flame purple phoenix wings. No one knows how fast his limit speed can be. Right now, he was a living primordial true flame purple phoenix. The pupils shrank slightly, and the black-robed elder stomped his feet in rage and cursed. F***ck his grandmother. This brat's speed is already invincible under the Heaven Dipper Realm 5th level. Old man Xiao has really screwed us over. Chapter 208. Second Brother, Run Separately. Knowing that he was no match for Lin Chen, the black-robed old man suddenly shouted coldly. The two of them retreated separately and flew in the opposite direction. Want to run? Have a taste of the full power of my bloodline. Light fury, thunder explosion, dark devour, wind rend, flame extinguish. The light attribute battle chi energy ball flew across the sky. An electric dragon crushed the void and swept through the mountains and rivers. The dark wheel twisted and turned in the void. Hundreds and thousands of wind blades cut the air and danced in the sky. A red sea of fire ignited from the surroundings and burned the land. How is this possible? The two of them couldn't close their eyes before they died. From the beginning to the end, they didn't understand how Lin Chen, a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 1, could unleash such a terrifying attack. After Lin Chen confirmed that the 4 assassins were dead, he kept the ancient green dragon into his body. Lin Chen's purple phoenix wings suddenly spread and swept across the sky. Below Spirit Void Mountain, in the sky above Spirit Void Sect's gate, the sect master of Spirit Void Sect stood in the air. His trembling old hands grabbed his goatee. The corner of his mouth twitched as he muttered to himself. Seems like I've seen a lot of illusions recently. A Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 1 killed 4 Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 4. How is this possible? 178,000 miles away, a streak of light streaked across the sky at an extremely fast speed. Boom! The void shook and the streak of light was bombarded to the ground. Who is it? How dare you sneak attack me? The old man's angry roar echoed in the sky. 8-Wind Palace's elder, right? What's the hurry? If you want to reincarnate, I'll send you on your way. The purple phoenix wings flapped and Lin Chen slowly descended from the sky. The corner of his mouth curved into a mocking and cold smile. In terms of speed, he was now a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 5. Even a Heaven Dipper Realm Stage 5 expert might not be able to match him. Zhang Dishui? Did you kill those 4 people? How is that possible? The 8-Wind Palace's elder was in a daze and said in disbelief, Don't worry, you'll know if it's possible when you see them. Lin Chen's figure suddenly flashed and released the ancient green dragon. 1 man and 1 dragon encircled the 8-Wind Palace's elder. 1 day later, at Heavenly Song Academy, Lin Chen safely returned to the Heavenly Song Academy. As soon as he arrived at his dormitory, the space around him slightly fluctuated. Old Yuan and 2 other elders appeared beside Lin Chen like ghosts. F***CK. Elder Yuan, you scared me to death. Playing hide and seek at such an old age, my little heart can't take it. Lin Chen touched his chest. He was almost scared out of his wits just now. Elder Yuan's strength was unfathomable. When he approached Lin Chen, the latter had almost no time to react. Hee, Lin Chen boy, I've been waiting for you here for a long time. Elder Yuan's smiling appearance instantly put Lin Chen on alert. Damn it, looking at this old fox's smile, it's definitely not a good thing. I can't see through your cultivation? Good lad, you've had another fortuitous encounter in the Sun Temple. Suddenly, Elder Yuan's eyes lit up. He looked at Lin Chen with surprise. Hee, what fortuitous encounter, just a little. Lin Chen smiled modestly. Okay, let's get down to business. I've taken a mission for you. This mission is very difficult. I've looked through the entire Heavenly Song Academy. No one is more suitable for this mission than you. Elder Yuan laughed coquettishly. The corner of Lin Chen's mouth twitched. Damn it, this is definitely not a good mission. I have to reject it no matter what. Otherwise, I won't even know what happened if I die. Ahem, then please tell me what kind of mission it is, Elder Yuan. Lin Chen pretended to be serious, but in fact, he was already thinking of a reason to reject. To complete this mission, the first condition is that you must be handsome enough. Elder Yuan winked. Lin Chen was shocked on the spot, his eyes shining. He patted Elder Yuan's shoulder heavily and gave him a thumbs up. You have good taste. Elder Yuan, no, Senior Yuan. Let's go inside and talk. In the Academy's resting area, inside Lin Chen's dormitory loft. What? You want me to be a prostitute? Sell my body? Impossible. I can't do this mission. I, Lin Chen, am a man with a bottom line, a man with integrity, and a man with dignity. Even if I die outside or jump off the Sky Island, I won't do something that will corrupt the secular world and affect the worldview of young people. Lin Chen slammed the table angrily, patted his chest, and said righteously. Elder Yuan calmly took a sip of tea and then said casually. This mission is worth 1.5 million points. 1.5 million points? Alas, the world is always cold and ruthless. Since I already have a handsome face like Duguchiobai, I should shoulder the responsibility of this handsome face. I can feel that the world needs me even more. Tell me, what mission is it? I, Lin Chen, am willing to sacrifice myself for justice. You brat, it's really a waste of your talent if you don't become an opera singer. You flatter me, you flatter me. I'm just a little bit handsome and a little bit coquettish, Lin Chen said shyly. Okay, let's stop here. Elder Xia, tell him the details. Elder Yuan nodded to an elder beside him. The latter flipped through the information in his hand, and then said solemnly. Last month, an elder of our academy rescued a young man. That young man is the young master of the Mingyue sect. It's said that he was kidnapped by a mysterious woman called the Black Widow. Due to the special circumstances, the Mingyue sect put out a huge bounty for the capture of the Black Widow. According to our Academy's investigation, the Black Widow is a Heaven Star Border Realm Master who roams the evil sect in the spirit state. She likes to collect a large number of talented young men and suck their cultivation and essence blood dry. The young master who was rescued was one of the talented young men who were offered to the Black Widow. Our academy needs a genius young man who is about the same age as the young master of the Mingyue sect to disguise himself into the Black Widow's territory and wait for an opportunity to eliminate her. Because there are some offensive arrays left behind from ancient times in her territory. If activated, even a Heaven Star Border Realm Stage 5 or Stage 6 wouldn't be able to break through the arrays. Therefore, we need someone who can destroy her from the inside. After hearing this, Lin Chen fell into deep thought. Once his identity was exposed, he would either defeat the other party or be trapped inside and attacked to death. Let me ask, what is the Black Widow's cultivation realm, and if there are other people around her? Lin Chen said with a slightly serious expression. According to our investigation, the Black Widow's cultivation is at the peak of Heaven Star Border Realm Stage 4. There are 2 Heaven Star Border Realm Stage 2 evil cultivators around her. The rest are all in the Earth Realm. That elder said with a serious expression. Little brat, as long as you cooperate with your ancient Azure Dragon and release the Black Widow at her most relaxed and most crucial moment, you might be able to get close to her before you eliminate her. I heard that this Black Widow isn't simple and isn't inferior to those beauties who can cause the downfall of countries. As the saying goes, widows can ride the clouds. Elder Yuan chuckled and said, then, at the last moment, bring out your 2 green dragons and directly destroy her. Bullsh *T, that's a black dragon. I don't care if you're black or green. Give me a straightforward answer, take it or not. Take it. Chapter 209. Oh, not bad. As expected of a student that I thought highly of. Now that's domineering enough. The enemy is out in the open while you're in the dark. You even have an ancient Azure Dragon. This advantage is much greater than when I was young. Elder Yuan's eyes shone with the light of reminiscence as if he was thinking of his younger self. We'll set off 2 days later. In these 2 days, our academy will send the disguise items to your dorm. Prepare them yourself. As for the evil sect member who escorted the youth, we'll use poison to control him and ensure that he won't leak any information about you. Another elder took over the conversation and spoke to Lin Chen. He nodded and took out his blood jade token to officially accept this mission. Lin Chen didn't feel too much pressure regarding this mission. Even if the evil sect member who escorted the youth exposed himself, as long as he could sneak into the Black Widow's territory, he wouldn't be afraid of them even if he had to fight them head-on. With the ancient Azure Dragon and Lin Chen's strength, as long as it wasn't a Heaven Star Border Stage 5 expert, there wouldn't be any suspense in the battle. At night, in the seclusion room, Lin Chen sat cross-legged and quickly formed seals with both hands to display the 8 Desolation mystical fire seal. Inside the abyssal furnace, endless energy was being refined. When the refinement reached a certain stage, Lin Chen pointed his finger and the energy in the furnace was absorbed into his body. The nine-colored battle soul in Lin Chen's dantian rotated rapidly. The current nine-colored battle soul was nearly 10 times larger than before. Every time it rotated, it could drive the energy of heaven and earth and launch an attack together with the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The attribute light balls obtained from killing the 4 Heaven Star Border Stage 4 experts can't even help me step into the middle stage of Heaven Star Border Stage 1. The higher the foundation, the higher the difficulty. After absorbing the energy in the furnace, Lin Chen sighed and shook his head. He took out the last batch of level 5 heaven and earth treasures that he kept in the Evil King's secret realm and focused on refining. It was much harder to refine a finished pill, and there was a certain chance of failure. However, Lin Chen directly absorbed all the stored herbs in the form of an energy body, so the efficiency was much faster. The only drawback was that the effect couldn't be displayed perfectly, but it could improve himself at the fastest and most stable speed. The next day, Lin Chen exhausted all the storage of heaven and earth treasures to reach the Heavenly Dipper realm first layer middle stage. He left the seclusion chamber and went to see everyone in Class 66. He realized that everyone except Lu Lin was out on a mission. Lu Lin's physique and cultivation method were special. As for Lin Chen, he had obtained the mystic nether poison tome from the Evil King mystic realm. This had allowed her Tao of poison to improve by leaps and bounds. It just so happened that Heavenly Song Academy had the most complete teachers. Lu Lin was currently the only student of Class 66 who stayed in the academy to cultivate. Inside the mission hall's secret room, Lin Chen received the disguise materials required for this mission. A moment later, Lin Chen transformed into an extremely handsome young man. He was dressed in white, and his eyebrows were like light swans. His eyes sparkled like stars, and his teeth were like jade. His face was like a jade that reflected clear water. His long hair was tied up, and the corner of his mouth was faintly discernible with the charming smile of a pure and simple young man. Extremely handsome, extremely elegant. Just like the young man in his dreams, he stunned the years. Compared to his original appearance, the current Lin Chen had a bit more elegance and handsomeness, and a bit less devilish charm and arrogance. Yes, it's not bad to change styles occasionally. As expected, handsome people look good no matter what. A certain Lin shamelessly looked at himself in the mirror and was satisfied with his narcissism. The elder beside him handed him a bright moon jade pendant and let him hang it on his waist. I didn't expect you to be so good at disguising yourself. You're about the same age as the Minghui sect's young sect master. You already look 80% like the young sect master. He has been under the protection of an orthodox sect since he was young, and the Black Widow probably didn't have many chances to see his true appearance. There shouldn't be any problems. Elder Yuan said seriously, from today onwards, you're the Minghui sect's young sect master. Student Lin Chen, this way, please. We'll bring you to the place where the person is supposed to meet you. He'll bring you to Black Fog Island. The elder pushed open the door and Lin Chen followed closely behind. Elder Yuan took a sip of strong wine, and his eyes revealed a faint expectation. Smack. A charming female Huang Sun class student walked past the mission hall in a hurry and accidentally bumped into Lin Chen, causing her to fall to the ground. What's wrong, Junior? Are you okay? Young sect master Lin reached out his hand to the new student and smiled. His elegant and pure sunny smile dazzled the young girl for a moment. Elder Yuan kicked the young sect master's butt and scolded. Damn you, still flirting with girls at a time like this? Are you looking for a beating? 6 days later, in the Spirit State's Sky Demon Sea. The Sky Demon Sea was located at the extreme south of the Spirit State. There were brutal sea beasts hiding in the sea, and there were almost no ships around the sea. The Sky Demon Sea was filled with dense fog, making it an excellent place to hide. At the Western Sea, a group of spirit cranes flew by, and an island shrouded in black fog gradually appeared. The spirit cranes landed on the shore of the island shrouded in black fog, and a few people immediately yelled, "Hurry up! All of you move faster! Walking so slowly, you're courting death!" A few ninth-level Earth Realm martial artists yelled, and a dozen young and handsome youths were escorted into the island with fear. Among all the frightened youths, only one of them still had a pair of spirited eyes. "That kid is in. This time, those old fogies from the Heavenly Song Academy should let me off. Damn it, I will never do this again." The purple-robed middle-aged man, who was the leader, saw the young sect master being brought into the Black Fog Island, and his eyes twitched. "This Black Fog Island is a little strange. Even my spirit transformation realm's mental energy can't see too far. Unless I use the purple gold pupils, my eyes will be in the dark. No wonder not many people would come to this godforsaken place." Lin Chen, who was locked up by the battle chi restraining iron chains, lowered his head and walked silently. He couldn't help but shiver as he followed the group. This godforsaken place even made him feel eerie, let alone the other captured youths. It was already considered outstanding that they didn't faint on the spot. "We are sure it is Mr. Zhou's goods. Remove the array." Suddenly, a few ladies' charming voices echoed, embellishing the air with ripples. 5 tall and charming ladies walked out from the forest. They were wearing the same attire, and their charming and narrow eyes had a trace of coldness and greed as they sized up the youths. "Sisters, we will escort you to this place." Those 9th-level Earth Realm martial artists swallowed their saliva and didn't dare to stay any longer as they turned and scuttled into the forest. "A bunch of cowards!" The flirtatious women sneered and pulled the chains that bound Lin Chen and the dozen youths, pulling them into the forest as if they were pulling goods. After passing through the forest that was filled with black fog, what entered their eyes was a giant and eerie castle that was the size of a palace. For safety's sake, Lin Chen closed one of his eyes and used the purple gold pupils with a single pupil. The light in his eyes flashed and extinguished, and Lin Chen's expression changed slightly. He actually saw endless misfortune and killing intent lingering in this castle. If he were to enter, even he would be in mortal danger. What is the situation? Didn't they say that there was only one peak stage Heaven Dipper Realm martial artist? Chapter 210. The sky was filled with gray threads that wandered around the entire castle. This scene made Lin Chen's hair stand on end. The purple gold pupils, creating something out of nothing realm, could help Lin Chen peek into the world's most mysterious fortune, which was related to Lin Chen's own direction. If Lin Chen was strong enough, there wouldn't be any living creatures in the castle that could threaten him. Naturally, there wouldn't be so much fortune gathering. But the scene in front of him was enough to show that the entire castle was a fatal danger to Lin Chen. It was not an exaggeration to say that he would have a narrow escape. Should I retreat? My current position is already close to the center of the island. The island is filled with black fog, so using the purple gold pupils to scout the way will take some time. Once I alert all the strong warriors on the island, I will be surrounded and attacked. Lin Chen quickly calmed down and didn't panic. At this time, the few charming and cold women chuckled. "The goods this time are much better than the last time, hee. These are all selected by the sect master before we sisters can get to them. Don't be in a hurry to be tempted. Who knows who will be tempted first?" The women's teasing made them turn their heads from time to time. When they looked at the youths, their eyes flashed with charm and greed. Especially when the young sect master was glanced at by the women several times. Lin Chen felt a little uncomfortable, as if he was being stared at by a few hungry she-wolves. "All right, sisters, stop looking. How could the sect master let that extremely handsome young man go? Let's pay attention to other things." "What a pity!" "Shh. We're almost at the gate. Don't talk." The women led the youths to open the castle gate. They passed through the castle's courtyard and entered the second floor. After reaching the second floor, the sinister atmosphere hit them in the face, emitting a suffocating sense of oppression. This was a kind of murderous aura and oppression that could only be felt after slaughtering millions of people. It was almost comparable to a high-level beast. The youths beside Lin Chen were terrified. Some even wet their pants and fainted on the spot. Useless trash. Xiao Yin, drag him out and make use of him. Remember, clean up his limbs. A cold-looking female at the first level of Heavenly Dipper indifferently spoke. The beautiful eyes of little Yen gleamed with light as she immediately accepted the order and dragged the unconscious young man away. On the Black Fog Island. If you want to live, then obediently become the cultivation cauldrons of our sect master. The cold and elegant woman's words shook the youths, and they nodded repeatedly. Walking into the pavilion on the third floor, Lin Chen and the group of youths were arranged in a spacious guest room. Not only were Lin Chen and the other youths in the guest room, there were also nearly 100 other youths who had been captured and imprisoned here. Their hands and feet were shackled, and some of them were blindfolded, trembling in fear. They were all talented young men from all over the spiritual state. Each of them was less than 22 years old, and they were all above the earth realm. They had great potential and talent. Keep an eye on them. The sect master and I are going to meet the guests. The cold and elegant woman at the first level of Heavenly Dipper realm instructed and left. The rest of the women put on the blindfolds for Lin Chen and the other newcomers. After the Heavenly Dipper realm woman left, Lin Chen slightly raised his head and faced the direction of the fourth floor. From the moment he entered the castle, he faintly felt many powerful auras gathering on the fourth floor. Through the blindfold, Lin Chen activated his purple-gold pupils. F***CK. Is old Yuan trying to F***King kill me? This time, using the purple-gold pupils almost scared Lin Chen to death. Under the purple-gold pupils investigation, a total of 14 Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 4 and above powerhouses gathered in one of the guest rooms on the fourth floor. Among them, there were a total of 3 powerhouses above Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 5. F***CK, Brother Chen, I'm in a wolf's den this time. 2 hours ago, in the mission hall of the Heavenly Song Academy. Whoosh! Suddenly, a ray of light appeared on the mission light screen that was constantly changing rapidly. Every student in the Sky Island's mission hall looked at it in surprise. This kind of change would usually only appear when there was a change in a high-level mission. High-rank Green Merit Mission. Infiltrate Black Fog Island and eliminate the Black Widow has been officially changed to Blue Merit Mission. Eliminate all the evil sect martial artists on the Black Fog Island. According to the latest information, the Black Widow has broken through to Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 5 and has gathered her sister, the veteran evil sect powerhouse Black Soul, and 3 other evil sect's forces on the Black Fog Island. They are suspected to be working together in secret. Mission reward changed to 4 million points. Mission Executor, Youth Merit Level Lin Chen. Suggested candidate change. Seeing the sudden change in the mission, most of the senior students were shocked. Usually, when a Youth Merit mission was upgraded to a Blue Merit mission, there would only be such a change in the mission. The difficulty of a Blue Merit mission was almost as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Even a Blue Merit level senior student might not be able to complete it and might even die. Under normal circumstances, basically, only a team of 2 Blue Merit levels could guarantee safety, but it might not guarantee the success of the mission. And a Youth Merit level student carrying out a Blue Merit mission? It was basically courting death. There wasn't even a 1% chance of success. Lin Chen, isn't this the new student who defeated 2 Youth Merit level students right after entering the academy? It's actually him carrying out this mission? It's over, no matter how strong he is, he can't possibly be a match for a Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 5. Quickly go and inform the elders. If he hasn't set off yet, there's still time to give up on the mission. Ha ha ha, I'm afraid this brat is finished. That Black Fog Island is a place with an ancient formation. As long as you enter, it's impossible to force your way out without the strength of a Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 6. What a pity! He became a youth merit level student right after entering the academy at such a young age. I didn't expect him to turn into a shooting star and fall just like that. It really makes one sigh. Hee, the Martial Tao is like this. No one knows what will happen in the next moment. Just cultivate in peace. Many of the senior students who saw the mission immediately started a heated discussion. Even Elder Yuan, who had always been calm and collected, jumped up the moment he received the news in the mission hall. Blue merit level mission? How could there be such a huge change? Elder Yuan's expression revealed a trace of disbelief and regret. The Black Widow's sister and Black Soul were famous in the spiritual state. They were both veteran Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 5 Masters. Including the newly promoted Black Widow, Black Fog Island now had 3 Heavenly Dipper Realm Level 5 Masters and 3 evil sects. If they let Lin Chun sneak in alone, it was impossible for him to come out alive. Elder Yuan, should we rush to Black Fog Island at full speed? Or should we ask the Academy to send elders as reinforcements? One of the elders who chose Lin Chun to carry out the mission was anxious and regretful at this moment. It's too late. Even if I don't care about the loss of my lifespan, it'll still take me more than 2 days to break the seal and rush to Black Fog Island at full speed. Otherwise, this new information wouldn't have taken so long to arrive. As for reinforcements, that's even more impossible. The Academy clearly states that no elders can interfere with a student carrying out a mission, no matter how talented they are. As long as he interacts with the Black Widow, there's a high chance that he'll be exposed. By the time we get there in 2 days, that brat will be long gone. Elder Yuan shook his head regretfully, as if he had aged more than 10 years. He trembled as he sat back in his chair. It's my fault. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.